Hey podcast listeners, Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello everyone to this week's Gossip Grid, and boy do we have some super things to talk about because past weekend was the Super Bowl. We're going to talk more about who was there, what was happening, and everything going on. But of course, the Super Bowl is basically a giant convention of who's who, lots of brands, lots of businesses. Everyone's there, either has a lot of money, knows someone, or it's a great networking opportunity. And I can't wait to hopefully one day be one of those people. There's a reason that commercials cost $7 million for a 30-second spot at the Super Bowl. Is because people have eyes on who is there and what's going on and who cares. So who was there? Oh my gosh, the Wolf Pack. Toto and Susie had seats at the 50-yard line. So first off, they had great seats for the game and for Rihanna. Unbelievable. So are we thinking that the W14 was good because Toto felt like he could take a little bit of a vacation? Just kidding. That's complete speculation. Again, huge network opportunity for them. Then they were in Los Angeles. Then they were in New York. Who were they meeting with? Who were they talking to? I'm really hoping that there's some behind-the-scenes projects in the works for them, and especially with American companies or anything like that. And again, who else was there? Daniel Ricciardo. That boy has so much time right now, and he's taking advantage of this extra time. And unfortunately, there was not a picture of Toto and Susie and Daniel together, which one day I hope to absolutely receive. He had a jam-packed couple of days in Phoenix. Not only did he attend the Super Bowl, but he also went to the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Don't tell Josh Allen, but Danny Rick was spotted hanging out with J.J. Watt, and J.J. Watt dubbed him as the quote-unquote people's champ. So that's great, especially since J.J. Watt is a huge Haas fan. It was kind of great to see him with Daniel Ricciardo, since Daniel Ricciardo is trying to grow in the American fan base. They're actually both represented by the same sports talent agency, so now that JJ's retired, Ricciardo has some extra time on their hands. Maybe they'll see some things with them together, or we're going to see a lot more of Daniel's presence growing in America. He was also featured with Fox Sports Impacto Fox Sports of Mexico account. Very random, with a bunch of pictures of fans, and then Daniel Ricciardo. He was wearing his digital camera around his neck. We have yet to see those, so Daniel, please stop gatekeeping those photos. I want to see all the Super Bowl performance and all the shots you took of Rihanna. This is the only thing I will mention about any of the teams that played. Daniel Ricciardo, prior to the game, did pick the Eagles to win. And that is important for me to inform Brianna about. And that's all we'll talk about with the Super Bowl. Yesterday, or earlier this week, I can't even think of track of what day it is. Esteban, my bestie, is really just pulling at my heartstrings. He introduced his brand new helmet. So first, throwback to Coda. If you can't see behind me, if you're not watching, I am a huge Spider-Man fan. So when Esteban introduced his Spider-Man helmet, boy oh boy did I get excited. And then we also saw him receive a Spider-Man gift from Daniel Ricciardo during Secret Santa, so Esty is my bestie. And then surprise, his helmet, black, red lines, gave good Spider-Man vibes, and then he basically confirmed it when posting a picture on his Instagram story of Spider-Man and Venom. So, Esty Bestie, love you. You really are A1 and the best friend forever. And last thing I gotta mention, because it is the prince of fashion on the grid, because Lewis is the king. But we got to see Zhou in a Dior campaign for Dior China, as he is recently a new brand ambassador for them. I really just want to see more drivers like Zhou and Lewis embracing fashion on the grid. Hopefully this year that they're seeing fans really enjoy and react well to Zhou and Lewis arriving in such extravagant outfits with designers. Come on, drivers. Team up with more brands, get great outfits, it's great PR, and I want to see it on the grid. You can show up and have your own red carpet moment. And that's all I got for this week's Gossip Grid. See you next week.
Hey podcast listeners, Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello everyone, welcome to Gossip Grid. Here to give you all of everything you need to know about F1 and pop culture. And we are starting off with a huge story today. And it's huge because, there's no other way to describe it. Harry Styles did a shoey on stage, not only is in the middle of his concert, but in Australia, in Perth, where Daniel Ricciardo is from. aka the inevitability of them meeting continues to grow stronger. Their bromance is real, and it's just gonna happen. But I woke up to that man doing a shoey, and I was like, they're channeling each other's energy. So Harry Styles, Daniel Ricciardo, figure it out. Go get lunch. Thank you very much. And as long as you just post a picture of it, because I need that as my wallpaper forever. Thank you. We are starting to get our first pictures of lovely Joe as the Lululemon China campaign ambassador. We were getting some really lovely pictures of him in their recent athleisure wear for males. He's sending Charles, really giving him a good run for his money. There's a lot of great winking pics out there, but it's definitely really interesting to see that Lululemon, particularly in China, is trying to grow their brand in a really certain way and appeal to a really specific younger demographic audience. And they thought Joe was a great ambassador to be not only an elite athlete, but someone that is a face in the fashion industry. So they felt like they were hitting multiple nails on the head. And they're right. I mean, he's an unbelievably great fashionista, for literally lack of better terms, and it's important to have that as a brand ambassador, and I'm hoping to see some really sick Lululemon fits at the paddock this year. But the man knows how to take a great photo and can drive a car really fast, so it's a perfect pairing. We had Sir Lewis was out on the town in London after the British Art and Film Awards, the BAFTA Awards. There was a huge after party with British Vogue and Tiffany & Co. at the Annabelle Club. It's like a really private club that a bunch of rich, famous people spend a lot of money to get a membership to, similar to Soho House in the US. But Lewis was photographed with everyone. There's a wonderful, beautiful picture of him and the British Vogue editor-in-chief, because guess what? You want to look like you know what you're doing in terms of fashion? Lewis is a great person to have there. But he got to hang out with a bunch of really great people, like Anya Taylor-Joy, Angela Bassett was there, Florence Pugh, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jamie Foxx. It was a studded list. Lewis was in a custom outfit, and he had leather straps on his sleeves to mimic a tire, but most importantly, he was wearing a Tiffany & Co. brooch that most recently was also worn by Michael B. Jordan at the Creed 3 premiere. So that's a beautiful connection. I would love to see them together, and Lewis looked absolutely stunning and amazing at this event. Vanity Fair France gave us an in-depth interview with Esti Bestie. This was entirely in French, so this is basically kind of Gossip Grid meets Google Translate. They talked to him all about different racing movies and his perspective on it, and of course he gives a lot of input about, how important movies are and the perspective of the driver. And no surprise, Rush is his favorite racing movie. I think it's my favorite racing movie as well. It's an incredible story, and you can't complain about getting any Chris Hemsworth. He's a great James Hunt. And we got to hear about Esti talk about his experience with working with Niki Lauda, which was really interesting and great. Also, surprisingly, amongst all of these movies, they included Ricky Bobby. So when they're talking about F1, then hearing Esti Bestie talk about Ricky Bobby Talladega Nights, very, very different. But if you haven't seen Rush already, what are you doing? Definitely go see it. And last but not least, we got a beautiful diary entry with Alex Albon and the Players Tribune. It gave a really unique perspective of his time as a reserve driver with Red Bull, what it was like going through that whole process and the ups and downs of his entire journey. Apparently he revealed he also, when he was looking for a new seat, has an Excel spreadsheet CV that is color-coded, breaks down his times, and I want to see it. I'm also intrigued that this is a man after our hearts.
I also create Excel spreadsheets to prove a point.
Exactly. That's why I needed to share that, because he's like, not only did he say he was handing out his resume in the paddock, but he made it in Excel and color-coded it with data and times, and I'm like, wow, so I really want to see that. This is also, I think, again, we're looking at a really interesting point in F1 where it is a very cutthroat sport, but with the growing fan base and having more fans that maybe are not only just fans of teams, but fans of drivers, and as more drivers lose their seats and become reserve drivers, but maybe still have a really strong fan base, is there now kind of being an opening space for maybe drivers don't have a career on the grid, but they're able to still produce content elsewhere and have fan base everywhere? Look, I'm just thinking it could be really interesting that I don't think we get a lot of that self-directed. This has nothing to do with Daniel Ricciardo being a reserve driver.
Everything always has to do with
It always does. But who knows? It's very interesting. It gave a really beautiful perspective, especially from Alex being with Red Bull at the time that he was. Definitely go check it out if you haven't already. And shout out to Alex Albon for being the PR king that we know and love. And that's everything we got for this week's Gossip Grid. We'll see you next time.
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Gossip Grid. I'm here to give you everything about Formula One and pop culture. And this week we have a special fashion trending version of Gossip Grid because we have to talk about Motorcore. Motorcore is taking hold of the entire fashion industry, not just only in the US, but all over the world. Over the last year, we've really seen Formula One and racing spilling into fashion. Really took off in 2022. A lot of people point to TikTok and the Y2K rock glam as being a part of this. We had seen a trend very recently with a biker core, which is leaning into the ripped denim, heavy metal band tees. But Motorcore has taken this biker core and spun it on a more conservative, sleek style. We've seen tons of this in New York Fashion Week and Paris Fashion Week, but Paris Fashion Week is a month long, so there's been a ton of different pieces of Motorcore seen. So our key pieces of Motorcore, which now you're going to be like, I've been seeing this all over the place. You'll be seeing everyone in tons of leather. So bomber jackets, low-rise pants. Another big surprise that we see in a lot of racing material, logos. Logos are making a really big comeback, and you will be seeing influencers and models and celebrities decked out in racing jackets that have covered in logos of every single different type of variety. They have this piece of subversion fashion. What does that mean? Lots of layers, really weird cutouts in places that you seem like don't make any sense across the body, sheer fabrics, unconventional straps, kind of like when you're seeing a race car driver getting into their suit. They have lots of different straps and headpieces and things that they need to put on. This is the contemporary fashion version of that. Usually going to see them in sneakers because it's kind of a spin on athletic wear, but a little bit more trendy and edgy. Sometimes we'll get some chunky boots with this. And then it's a minimal type of accessories. And when I say minimal, that means you're going to see people in gas station sunglasses. There's no better way to phrase them, that they're sunglasses that look like they're from a stack in a gas station. And usually some type of blinged out flame print. So again, we've seen it a ton at New York Fashion Week, lots of leather, lots of motor-style boots, racing boots seen on the actual runway. In Paris, we saw gritty layers, lots of workwear-inspired boots, biker jackets, leather coats, and we're seeing celebrities wear Motorcore all the time. So celebrities have been rocking brands like Diesel, Givenchy, and we saw Rosalia, her entire Moto Mommy album cover, her entire tour, decked out in leather, racing helmet. She's wearing a racing helmet on her album cover. And Dua Lipa was really leaning into all of the Motorcore, tons of leather racing suits on her entire nostalgia tour route. So keep a lookout on this. It's definitely not going anywhere. This is the second year in a row that we're seeing this trend booming in fashion. So we can really thank the growth of Formula One interest, and it's growing across the world and really getting into fashion. So just be on the lookout for this. I'm sure you're already seeing it everywhere, if not in your own closet. But F1's reach way past Netflix, way past your TV screen, and now getting into your closets too. So that's all we got for this week on Gossip Grid, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Gossip Grid. And boy, oh boy, do we have a jam-packed segment for you this week. Pop culture is overflowing everywhere in F1, and I'm here to tell you everything about it. First off, Taylor Swift kicked off the Eras Tour this week with 44 songs. She's a Lewis Hamilton fan. Next. Okay.
Wasn't her Wasn't Midnight's like 44 minutes long or something?
Midnight is also 44 minutes long and was released the weekend of Coda. You were so right. I didn't put that together right now. This is a live reaction. Taylor Swift is a Lewis Hamilton fan, and I will not do anything different.
That's my headcanon.
And it's 44 minutes without the 3 a.m. edition. Don't tell me that it's otherwise. Trust me, I know. Okay. We had will.i.am was in Saudi Arabia, and they actually had to vacate, drivers and team members had to vacate the track early because will.i.am was filming a music video on the Saudi Arabian track. Really wild, and Saudi Arabia used him, the GP used him to promote the race, so we'll be excited to see whenever that music video comes out. There was a lot of talk last week on the internet with Cristiano Ronaldo and that he's absolutely required to attend the Saudi Arabian GP since he's moved to a Middle Eastern club team and was getting paid £173 million per year. That part of that insane contract was he has to attend the race. Well, not true. He did not attend the race. But he is an F1 fan. We've seen him at the Monaco GP, and he's visited the Ferrari factory with Carlos and Charles. But this clause was not real because he literally was not there this past weekend. But who was there? Lots of celebrities, lots of people performed. But Will Smith was as close as you could possibly get to a car without driving it. He absolutely loves Lewis. He, quote, "Lewis is my guy. Lewis is my man." During Martin Brundle's grid walk, a very different grid walk than our grid walk, but Martin Brundle walked up to Will Smith and was able to ask him one question and was really curious of, have you been asked to be in the new, Brad Pitt F1 movie that's being produced by Lewis? Will Smith very humbly said that he had not been asked yet, but he hasn't been told no either. And of course then made a big joke about how he needs to get rid of his gut to fit into the car. So it'll be interesting to see who ultimately gets cast in that movie. Hasn't started filming yet, will be later this year. No casting has been announced yet, but know that I will share as soon as it does. Yesterday on the Roscoe Loves Coco, so if you don't know who Roscoe is, first off, he's the biggest star of Formula One. He is Lewis Hamilton's dog, and we love him. He's so adorable, he's so cute. On his Instagram yesterday was shared a Be Real photo where, Roscoe posted, on Instagram and did not crop out the username on the end of the Be Real. It is at Roscoe Pup if you want to attempt to request it. But I did, and it said too many pending requests. So me and Roscoe, aka Lewis, can't be friends just yet on Be Real.
I have a lot of questions about this post, coming from someone who's apparently a boomer and has never used Be Real. I thought the whole thing with Be Real is that you're taking a photo of you and what's in front of you. So I'm confused and thought Lewis pulled a template and put like a photo in each one, because how do you have Roscoe in both photos? He can't be in both places at the same time. Help, please.
Again, as someone that used Be Real for maybe like a second, but because I just was peer pressured and wanted to try it out, there's like a delay, so you can, when you take a picture, it takes it one way, and then you can like move and it takes it the other way. I'm unsure if it's the selfie first, the other one first, but like there's a way that you can be in both. So basically, how I imagine this whole thing is Lewis is sitting in his car, takes a picture of Roscoe, and then moves so that it's a selfie of him and his dog, and then he saves it, posts it on Instagram, and then either tried to crop the username but didn't. But Be Real also doesn't give you any contact information. You can't even go on a profile.
Right.
So, but I am taking this as confirmation that Lewis runs the Roscoe Instagram account.
Will be my headcanon until someone physically tells me otherwise. I imagine Lewis sitting there in the Mercedes garage going, "Ooh, let's post the photo of my dog for the day," because that's what I want to think, and I will live in that state.
Want to work with Dad today.
Right. It is the one thing about Lewis Hamilton that I could say is like a very normal, like geeky thing to do. Like most of Lewis Hamilton is like ethereal, like how are you a person on this earth? But the mental image of him running his dog's Instagram account makes him human, and it's needed.
So human. Oh my god. Speaking of Lewis, recently, they had the Mission 44, which is his foundation, an inaugural dinner for Mission 44. Not an important part of the story about the dinner, but Lewis Hamilton is an outfit repeater, which is huge and makes him more human. He wore actually one of his Bahrain GP paddock outfits to this dinner. My personal favorite's an all red fit, and it's beautiful. But the important part of this, the Mission 44 dinner, so they came all together. It was a large organization. He was there with his parents and his stepmom, and it didn't really seem like there was other big-name celebrities there because everybody else there was like an advocate for a greater, bigger cause. And they shared a video about the dinner, and it was all talking about what they've achieved, what they hope to be doing in the future. They literally, their slogan, reimagining the future. There were speeches from several different advocates, so many women. I love that, and you can always count on Lewis for that representation. It was a British poet. I apologize, I tried to pronounce this, if I'm forgetting how to pronounce this correctly. His name was Nizam Speaks. He's a big famous British poet, and then another British singer, Ray, maybe one of those two, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, performed. And it was just a really wonderful moment of recognizing artists and recognizing advocates. So shout out to Mission 44 for doing wonderful, great work. Netflix yesterday announced they announced the casting of Senna for the Senna Netflix miniseries that they announced back in 2020. Yesterday would have been Senna's 63rd birthday. So the Brazilian actor that would be playing him is Gabriel Leon. He's very well known in Brazil. And he is nationally known for being in a telenovela called Hidden Truths. And then he was also the lead of the first original Amazon Prime video show that took place and produced in Brazil. This show is going to be a 6-episode mini-series. And unfortunately, it was originally announced as 8 episodes. We've lost 2 episodes, but any kind of insight on Senna, I'm really excited to see, especially because it's being produced with the blessing and participation of his entire family. His sister was really excited about the casting of Gabriel as Senna to play him. The filmmaker and the showrunner is also a Brazilian director, and he basically just came out and said not only is he making a series about an F1 legend, but a Brazilian hero. We're going to see a lot about Senna on track, but what I'm excited about is to see the investment of his relationships off track. It's a huge, huge project for Netflix. Brazil is currently one of their biggest booming markets, so it makes unbelievable sense they're doing this about Senna. Filming hasn't started yet, and there's no word on the release date yet, speculated 2024, so sadly we have to wait. We also got a lovely story from GP Racing Magazine. Valtteri Bottas bears all. The naked truth, literally. The article is titled Badass Bottas because we see his butt. Not the first time we've seen his butt, but first time I guess we've seen it in print. I don't know what the article's about because you have to buy the magazine, but I can tell you I've seen the photos.
How many times? I think it's become his thing. I like that he embraces that his thing. That it's like, right, I'm just gonna be naked everywhere. And we're like, alright, Valtteri, you do that. It led me down a train of thought that the ESPN body issue first needs to come back. And if it does, what F1 driver would be in the body issue? Because F1 has become like a big mainstream, heavily talked about American thing now. So I could see the producers of the body issue sitting there being like, we have to get an F1 driver. I understand that Valtteri would be like, yeah, sure, I'm in, I'm doing that. But I don't think he's a big enough star. So like, who do you think, like, I just like going down this train of thought of like, what wild thing would happen? Like, would Lewis be in the body issue?
He's the answer.
Right.
He's the answer only from the superficial space of he's a star, has the physical, like, toned physique that works for the body issue. And I'm saying this not trying to like shame anybody else. I'm just going by the brand of the ESPN body issue is that Lewis has that big name brand star and everything. And I also just don't think Max would do it. Is the other piece of this. Yeah. I think Max would say no. It's not that I don't think I think ESPN would love to have Max to be in the body issue. I don't think Max would do it.
It really set my brain down like, oh my gosh, if the body issue was still here, like, would we be seeing F1 drivers in the ESPN body issue? And I think we would be.
I think we would. It'd be interesting to see who would say yes, because I am also going back, and I don't know if Lewis would necessarily say yes to it. Valtteri obviously would. I think Daniel Ricciardo would, but I don't know if they would be the picks for the issue.
Right. I wonder if the conversation would be had with Ferrari, because it would be like, oh, it'd be really great to like have a Ferrari driver a part of this, but like, is that against Ferrari?
Would never.
Yes.
Ferrari would be like, okay, they could do it, but they have to wear a Ferrari suit jacket over everything else. Like, they will not. Oh man. Well, we'll have to see if ESPN decides to ever bring that back. But maybe maybe someone at ESPN will see this spread and be convinced that they need to bring it back. Exactly. And we will be wrapping up to this week's Gossip Grid with some words from a lovely member of One Direction, Niall Horan. Oh, I am a Harry girl, but I love Niall so very much. Niall Horan was being interviewed with Hits Radio, answering questions from fans, and someone was like, I need to know who his favorite F1 driver is. And no surprise, because we saw him at the French Grand Prix. Niall loves Lewis. He's a big Lewis fanboy. He was fanboying over Lewis. 7 world championships. Loves Lewis. He's great. You can't deny it. He mentions Max, Charles, Carlos, and Perez, and then immediately returns back to Lewis, and then shouts out Mercedes for taking great care of him of the French Grand Prix last year. I would like to notice, Niall was very, very excited to share that he fell in love with Formula One by watching Drive to Survive. And it's so funny, if you read through all the comments, that no one thinks he's less of a fan because he found it through Drive to Survive. And I just thought that was, just a really funny, interesting thing that, I maybe have not seen elsewhere. So it's okay if you're a fan of F1 because of Drive to Survive. Niall Horan is, and he loves Lewis Hamilton. And that's all I got for you this week on Gossip Grid. It was jam-packed. They're really giving us a lot of pop culture, so I'm sure we'll have more for you in the coming weeks.
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Gossip Grid, where I basically give you everything you need to know about F1 and pop culture. And of course, it was a jam-packed week because we have no race. Drivers are frolicking all over the world and doing a whole lot of other things that are other than driving a race car. So first off, we have to talk about Coachella. We're not going to talk about Camila Cabello and Shawn Mendes being spotted making out. We're not going to talk about the controversial Frank Ocean set that people have a lot of different takes on. But we are going to talk about just motorsports presence at Coachella. There was Motorcore outfits all over the place. People are not giving up on this trend. Motorcore is everywhere, and I'm here to support it. One of their performers, his name is IDK. It's not that I don't know his name. It's literally IDK. He really, really leaned into the trend. So in the middle, like his whole performance, he has a custom, one-of-a-kind race suit with matching shoes, a helmet, and in the middle of his set had a live pit stop with a pit crew coming on stage and changing his shoes. Why is that also genius besides just being motorsport themed? He also announced a Nike collab that weekend, and those were the shoes that he was changing into. So from one pair for the collab to another. Marketing genius. Also, exactly, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Money everywhere, great genius idea, love to see it. And our absolute favorite man of the hour and of all the time, Lewis Hamilton, was at Coachella for the first time since 2019. It's huge. Obviously, it was supposed to originally be at a race, and you know what? Things change. We have spring break. It's all happening, and he got to go to Palm Springs and was serving looks like, of course he was. That was no surprise. Every day was something else. There was Fendi, there was Gucci, it was ERL, it was Capital Global. We saw Timberland boots multiple times. The outfits were great. Really, really rocking the Coachella vibes exactly as I expected. He attended a couple of the pre and post parties. He was at the Marc Jacobs and ID pre-Coachella festival. And it was funny because at the Marc Jacobs party, he wore a complete Fendi outfit, which I don't know. He also attended the Revolve Festival. He hung out with his regular entourage the entire time they were all together, and then he was also seen with his buddies Nina Dobrev, Shaun White, Justin Bieber, Cara Delevingne. He shared himself rocking out at Frank Ocean's set. So my question to Lewis, you've teased your return to music. Should maybe we be expecting, a return in a set at Coachella 2024? I don't know. We'll see. Depends if there's a gap in the schedule all over again. And if Lewis is not busy enough, we're here to bring you some more updates about Brad Pitt and Lewis's F1 movie. I still am just grasping for as much information about this movie as I can. I cannot wait for it. Lewis has been quoted of saying, I know we're going to make the best racing movie that's ever existed. And I'm just like, give it to me right now. So, all the updates that I can give you, still no name. General plot is a Formula One driver, an older retired driver who would be played by Brad Pitt, comes out of retirement to return to the team and help mentor a younger driver. It's like very Hollywood, very big story. The younger driver has been cast. Damson Idris will play the younger driver. And this whole film is being produced by Lewis's new production company, Dawn Apollo Films, with help of Apple Studios. And Apple TV has also recently announced that they're making a documentary completely about Lewis. So just give that all to me. The film is being directed by Joseph Kosinski, who just directed Top Gun Maverick, and we know Lewis is a huge Top Gun fan, and they're going to be utilizing a lot of that same technology. And if anyone saw Top Gun Maverick, it's absolutely insane, and I cannot wait to see this being filmed for F1 racing. They're going to be using a lot of live action racing, real on-track action, and a lot of that filming will happen at this year's races, and Grand Prix happen later in the season. Stefano Domenicali has come out and said that this will take place at various locations, so we'll be seeing a lot of it. Tim Cook, Brad Pitt, and Hamilton have had several meetings with heads of F1 teams to ensure that they want them to participate, and it'd be a big group effort. Hamilton says he will not be featured in the film because he will be busy being part of the on-track action, and I say that's a load of hooey. You're gonna give us at least one cameo. It is an absolute must. Right! Come on, Lewis. Don't even you gotta at least pop up at least once. So it will be apparently exclusively in theaters for the first 30 days before hitting your Apple TV Plus subscriptions. So continuing to hope to hear more casting news, maybe get a name. But I can't wait to see the rest of this cast because Lewis is really putting a lot of effort into making sure it is a diverse and well-represented cast, and I expect nothing less from him. And he says that he thinks it's his responsibility to make sure it's diverse. So, all the other drivers have to be up to doing something since there's no racing going on. So what are they doing? Watching other sports. So this past weekend, we had a whole bunch of our F1 favorites at the Rolex Monte Carlo Masters, which is part of the ATP Tour, which is the Association of Tennis Professionals. We saw Toto Wolff, we saw Susie Wolff, we saw Lando Norris, we saw Nick DeVries, all of them attending. We got some extra special content with Charles and Pierre and Charles' brother Arthur. They were all together, dressed fabulously. They were there watching some doubles matches with Andrei Rublev, and he captured his ATP Masters 1000 crown in the finals, and you could literally see videos of Charles, like, biting his nails, and there's commentators filming him, and he was, like, the edge of his seat the entire time. And then after the match, Pierre, Arthur, and Charles got to go back and hang out with Andrei, and then the opponent that he played with, Holger Rune. So it was definitely really interesting. We also got to see George at ATP as well. He hung out with Djokovic. They had a whole little bit of back and forth about traveling around the world, what it's like to be an F1 driver. It was like definitely a really unique pairing of people having a conversation. So everyone kept really busy, didn't realize. Right, it was just very interesting collection of people. If you're not familiar with Djokovic, he's currently ranked the #1 tennis player in the world and has a very acquired personality. So I could just imagine George's British politeness rubbing really well with that. Upcoming, we have, if you did not know, sports has their own Emmys ceremony. So there is like an entire Emmys besides the traditional TV sitcom comedy, all of that. And there's an entire event just for sports. So on May 22nd, if you want to watch online or on the Emmys app, which is a thing that exists, Drive to Survive was actually nominated for 2 different categories. So for Outstanding Documentary Series and then also Outstanding Audio and Sound. So Drive to Survive getting some nominations from the Emmys. It may be award-winning soon.
We also found out this week that the first week viewership of Drive to Survive was up 40% year over year. So interest is not waning for the series.
No, interest is not waning, especially when you have people like us who watch the whole thing in one sitting.
I like to think that that's all our fault.
100%. We caused that entire bump. And last little bit of pop culture that I got to bring you this week is Paramount Plus has signed a full season promotional deal with F1. They are an official partner. They had a short-term deal last year that gave them like some exposure at Silverstone and Monza just with some of their placements. But this year they're definitely expanding that deal a whole lot more. There's apparently going to be Paramount Plus characters from original series and movies, and there's going to be
SpongeBob everywhere.
Let's bring SpongeBob to an F1 race.
Well, I loved seeing that last year, like very serious F1 racing, and then just like SpongeBob in the background. I was like, this is great.
He doesn't have his boating license. Put him in a car.
Oh my gosh, imagine if we got like some of that VR technology where like just randomly in the middle of the race, like SpongeBob is next to Max Verstappen. Like there you go. You're worried about like competing for a lead, like put SpongeBob SquarePants in a boat.
So now, also to reference, if you haven't seen, Brianna did a really great video a couple of weeks back on our other social media platforms about how the NHL did an animated live, like they reanimated an entire game and played it on Disney Channel. So now I'm just completely imagining an entire F1 race on Nickelodeon with like SpongeBob like popping out and like they're being slimed like they do with the NFL.
Please. I just want to be able to switch all the drivers to, and of course, alternate feet, but all the drivers to Bikini Bottom characters. That would be incredible.
We can't just give them these ideas for free. It's just
but then okay, but if I could watch it, like, I'd want it. Like, and if it rains, what if it was raining slime? Okay, I'm done. I'm done distracting the guys.
As long as F1 Multiviewer includes the Nickelodeon stream as an additional screen, I'm all for it. I just need to be able to continue to use F1 Multiviewer.
I would watch both of them side by side for sure.
So, we'll be seeing SpongeBob and Patrick at Formula One fan zones in different areas. There's going to be a lot more Paramount Plus branding on track, signage, digital sponsorship, and promotion. But reminder, if you have Paramount Plus, it's not going to give you any sort of ability to watch the race at all. This is literally just a promotional partnership because ESPN has all of these rights until 2025. So maybe Paramount Plus is trying to make sure that they're like a serious name in that conversation when they're looking to renegotiate. But for now, I just asked for SpongeBob to be in the paddock. And that is all we got for you this week on Gossip Grid. And I hope to one day be able to purchase SpongeBob F1 merch, and we will see you next time.
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Gossip Grid, and I literally think this may be the biggest, most jam-packed pop culture episode yet. Miami gave us a ton to talk about. There was a lot of big things that I had to talk about, even if it doesn't have to do with Miami, so I'm gonna talk about them anyway. So there is a lot to talk about, so buckle up, keep up, because I'm gonna go through absolutely all of it. Woo! And I talked a little bit about it last week, but guess what? I'm going to talk about it again. Danny Rick went to the Met Gala, and it was incredible. His outfit looks great. He had a good time, but now we're getting all of the behind the scenes of it all. So GQ Sports was literally all over the Miami GP, but we'll get more into them later. But of course, they found the opportunity to talk to Danny Rick about his experience at the Met Gala and fangirling over Anne Hathaway. And Anne Hathaway knew who he was. and he fangirled, and I fangirled, and you fangirled, and we all fangirled about him fangirling because the Queen of Genovia deserves it. Vogue does these incredible, really short videos with some big stars every single year getting ready for the Met Gala. There's a 4-minute video of getting ready with Danny Rick going to the Met, and I could not believe that I received this gift from the pop culture gods. Getting glam with his first entire Met Gala crew. He was incredibly nervous throughout the video. He's saying that he was more nervous than he was for any F1 race because it was out of his comfort zone. And that's really wild for a guy that does thrill-seeking sports for not only his job, but also for his hobby. He ended the video, of course, there's the branding king that he is, but ends it with the sign-off of, thanks for helping me put on my pants for the Met, thanks to Tom Brown for making me look cute, and ends with Enchante, because he's the brand king that he really is. He was wearing Tom Brown. He was basically matching Jenna Ortega, which was the vibe, and he was covered in this beautiful tweed jacket and suit, which was very, very Chanel, super on theme. And his favorite part about the entire thing about working with Tom Brown is that they don't button the top button on the shirt, which is great for his big F1 neck. And big update, big news. This is so important to my entire existence. I have a Danny Rick and Harry Styles bromance update. Danny Rick was featured on a podcast on a Nova podcast interview, and he revealed he received a pleasing PR package. So he's on the pleasing PR list. He didn't know that it was called pleasing. He said it was Harry's cosmetics line, and we regret not giving them a shout out, and that it was really nice of him. But I'm going to take that as they're friends. It's going to happen. They need to meet. It's almost halfway through the year. It's on my 2023 bingo card, but Danny Rick gets Harry Styles PR, and that's just absolutely incredible to me. Esteban Ocon is continuing to pursue some type of model career. Not actually, but we saw him with a leather maker, manufacturer, a really prestigious brand called Berluti, and he was modeling their Summer 2023 collection and properly their Lorenzo Drive loafers. But shout out to Esteban, and again, great pick for a brand using a driver that has a really wonderful face, charisma, personality, and brand to support your brand as well. Great pick for Esteban. Exactly, get that coin. Major League Baseball and Formula One kind of starting to have a little bit of a mini crossover. This is where we're starting to branch into the Miami vibes, but not fully just yet. So besides Brown and I's baseball jersey themed outfits this week, we got to see the lovely boys of Alfa Romeo, VB and Joe got to go visit the Marlins last week throughout the first pitch. So I was really excited about it and created like this really adorable Instagram post, exchanged jerseys, and the post that shook me to my core as a New York girl, although I am a Mets fan, Charles at the Yankees game, throwing out the first pitch in a Yankees jersey, backwards hat and all. Charles is a Yankees boy and could be from Long Island if I didn't know that he was from Monaco. Now, it is time for us.
It's like more fitting than Charles as a Yankee boy. When you said that, it was like genuinely, I was like, oh yeah, I mean, Ferrari are the Yankees. So, 100%.
He looks like he looks like a Yankee fan. Like he
put the Yankees hat backwards, and it was like every boy I grew up with. I felt like such a flat. I was like, whoa. Yeah. So apologies for the interruption.
No, and it's incredibly spot on. And now we're about to dive into the Miami fun, and it's actually a really great transition because we get to talk about the token, apparently to the world right now, F1 American driver Logan, and the token Florida boy, who I also feel like I went to, or token Florida man. I think I went to college with like 100 different Logan Sargents, but this boy was everywhere, was all over the place. He was interviewed by GQ. He was interviewed by Sports Illustrated. I gotta touch upon some of the things that he did. One of those interviews of the 10 things that he can't live without, and in my opinion, list was kind of lame, although we shared some interest. On his list was his F1 helmet, which, like, yeah, okay, you literally can't live without it, but, like, you have 10 things to show GQ. Maybe don't show your F1 helmet that literally is saving your life. He is a Heat fan, and as a Florida boy born and raised in Homestead right now, I do respect that. He grew up in, like, the prime of Wade County, LeBron, and everything. So I did appreciate that he pointed that out. I love lemonade. He shouted out Arnold Palmer. I would find literally lemonade in the desert if I had to. So I will respect Logan for that. But everyone's referring to Logan Sargent. Not everyone, but GQ and Sports Illustrated kept referring to him as America's great F1 hope. And that's just a lot for me. And I cannot leave all of my F1 hope riding on Logan.
And it's a lie? F1 is this popular in America right now, despite not having, like, they didn't, that, I didn't know that. Yeah. I have a lot to process. But I also think Nicole is actually underselling her love of lemonade and Arnold Palmer. So I'll just throw in that topic.
Yeah, we studied abroad and I literally cried because Italy doesn't give you non-sparkling lemonade and it's horrible. But it's fine, I love Italy so much. Okay, I'm now diving into this insane celebrity list because I could not get over it, and I know that I'm missing people, and I'm not going to go through all of them because we'll literally be here forever, so I'll only go through some of my favorites. So if I miss your favorite, don't get mad at me. These are only some of mine. So I have to start off with the Jonas Brothers. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe all of the Jonas Brothers are at a Formula One race. They performed. They were the performers of the Formula One race. I was not able to attend because of prior commitments, and that's fine. I did see Joe DJ in Wynwood on Sunday, and that made it totally fine. But they hung out with Alpine. There's like a really interesting video of Pierre chatting up with Joe and Nick and Kevin, and this being Nick's first Formula One race, and it's wild to see the Jonas Brothers on the grid, and I want them at every single race. More, please.
And the Jonas Brothers performed in the parking lot that we tailgate. It just needs to be said one more time.
My P3, and if it wasn't, it's on the list there. But yes. Yeah, they performed at the beach. I have to just quickly shout out Shakira because Shakira is Shakira. We saw Brad Pitt and Damson Idris there, who of course are doing the movie with Lewis Hamilton, the F1 movie coming up with Lewis Hamilton with Apple TV. A$AP Rocky stopped by and visited Lewis and Mercedes on Thursday, but he was without Rihanna.
Where is Rihanna? I get it. She's pregnant. She probably doesn't want to be in the Miami Heat. But selfishly, A$AP Rocky, you can't show up and hang out with Lewis Hamilton and not bring Rihanna and not expect me to ask where is Rihanna. Thank you.
I mean, I'm not, come on. Rihanna will make her appearance at the Miami GP in due time. It'll happen. She made it to the Super Bowl. She'll make it to this F1 Super Bowl. Tom Cruise, no surprise, hanging out with Mercedes because he's the biggest Lewis Hamilton fangirl besides literally this podcast. He was not officially part of the Mercedes pit crew, but he did get to do some practice imagination. He probably was like, let me put on a tire and help. And they let him, and they did. It also kind of ended up being this weekend the Fast and Furious PR because literally every single member, not every single member, but main characters of the Fast and Furious familia were there. Vin Diesel, maybe the new king of selfies I've ever seen because he just took a selfie everywhere, full up high, like selfie stick mode entirely. Ludacris, Michelle Rodriguez, congratulations to Lando that got to do a fast lap with her in the car. There you go. Fast and Furious literally took the opportunity to be there. Wonderful PR movie. LL Cool J was there, but everyone knew that because of driver intros, and I think he did a wonderful job with what he had to do, and there could be improvements, and it was America, and I loved how hyped him and Lewis were together.
Justice for Esteban Ocon, because I know there was more written on that card than his relationship to Pierre. Pierre got introduced as a race winner, and you don't do that to Esteban? You just say that he's now not fighting with Pierre? Justice for Esteban.
We respect Esteban, always justice for Esteban. I cannot say favorite podcast, F1 podcast host, because that is literally myself and Brianna. Dax Shepard was also at the F1 race. He was a guest at the Alfa Romeo garage. He was there with one of his co-hosts, Perfect 10 Charlie. I just love to see that he gets to kind of jump around the garage depending on which race he visits, because I think I would want to do that too. Olympian Lindsey Vonn was there. She says she's going to Vegas too and is really excited. Pat Mahomes was there, and he literally came from the Kentucky Derby, and when being interviewed, they're like, you were just at the Derby, and his response was, I'm everywhere. Paolo Banchero was also at the Miami GP this year, which, surprisingly enough, Not surprisingly enough, funny enough, last year, this is who Martin Brundle thought was Pat Mahomes. And they had a cute little reunion, and he probably was really excited to have Martin Brundle remember who he was this year and actually know his name. Tyreek Hill got to do some fun things at Alpine. He sat in the car. Thank God they did not let him drive the car. will.i.am may potentially be my biggest surprise of biggest F1 fan possibly ever. He had his fit. He had his song that was the formula with Lil Wayne. He conducted an entire orchestra of violin players who set the stage of the introductions of the Drivers' Championship, and there's going to be an entire album that's Formula One themed. will.i.am showed up and let the world know that he is into Formula One and that he's also a Mercedes fan. Not my favorite song I've ever heard, but I'll listen to the rest of the album. So again, lots of other celebrities were there, but that is just a really, really quick list of everyone that we saw. The watch brand, a big partnership with Mercedes and Lewis, the IWC Celeb Basketball game. Lewis showed up in fun pink pants, so wasn't really intense competition.
I'm sorry, you were pausing for me, and I wasn't sure if you were going to say other words. I was totally on me. Hi, editing, Brianna. Have fun editing this out.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off.
This was one of my favorite things that happened the entire weekend, because the photos of Lewis Hamilton sitting in front of that giant mural of his own face was just icon-only things. It was incredible, and the pink pants, this really set the tone for Lewis Hamilton Fashion Week, which is what this week really, really was at its core. And the cause, I don't think everyone's talking a lot about the brand, but the cause is really cool. That he's partnering with all of the brands that sponsor him and Mercedes to do efforts to get kids, particularly kids who grow up in lower socioeconomic areas, into STEM and engineering and math and all these areas, and introducing them to these pipelines of jobs that they could do in their future. And hearing Lewis talk about that, and that he wants to expand Mission 44 into the US and into Africa, and all the work he's doing is really cool. So at first, this was marketed as a celebrity basketball game for a watch company, and the reality is, this wasn't a public access event, but they just brought in tons of local kids, and they got to meet Lewis and hear about job opportunities, and it was really cool and random.
You're right, and that's why even basically every celebrity there was fangirling about Lewis Hamilton. I mean, Simu was I get to play basketball with Lewis, and I'd be same. That would literally also be my reaction to getting to play basketball with Lewis. I mean, I would also then be where's Roscoe? So,
and he wasn't bad. No, I'm so used to we saw so many drivers throwing footballs, doing football drills. I've seen every driver on the grid at this point shoot a basketball, and Lewis actually looks like he has shot a basketball before. And I can't tell you the joy that brought me, watching him make free throws and understanding follow through. And it just... I think every F1 driver should get lessons in here's how you shoot a basketball and here's how you throw a football. Football, I get it, they're not American. That's not part, but basketball is an international sport. Someone help these boys who are not named Lewis Hamilton.
Carlos Leclerc can hear you.
I mean, it's entertaining. Maybe it's more entertaining that they can't do it. But if I have to watch another F1 driver go this with a football, and you can watch us on YouTube and you can see but I'm basically just shovel passing awkwardly in front of my chest. Just at least put your... Shout out to Lance Stroll, can at least throw a football. Okay, that... I didn't expect to rant. We have this whole notes of all of Nicole's notes about Gossip Grid, and she's where do you want to jump in? And this was not one of those moments. I just became very passionate about this topic.
It was one of those moments. We've just... I mean, it's great. It's not wrong. Another major, huge American brand and sponsor of Mercedes, Tommy Hilfiger, released special merch specifically for this race. On my entire flight home, this is where the FOMO hit so hard for this race, is the amount of people wearing this Tommy Hilfiger merch. It was A+ branding. The sweaters are great. The hats look so good. It was with the brand Awake, a New York-based company, and was co-created with Tommy Hilfiger and Mercedes. and it's just a one-of-a-kind collection. It's expensive, but it looks just unbelievable. And it definitely gave me real FOMO. Lewis wore Tommy Hilfiger this weekend, but he was also covered in so much Louis Vuitton all weekend. His fits blew me out of the water. I can't get over all of the sparkles that he wore. Louis Vuitton, like, unbelievably hooked him up this weekend.
What was your favorite day?
I really think it was Sunday. Your comment made me go back to look at his other fits because all his Louis Vuitton fits were so good. But I think I'm coming off of like a Speak Now announcement. He's rocking gold, and him in like that whole entire sequined, like black, purple-ish outfit. That's it. That's so good for me. But there was no wrong choice for the weekend.
I think you described it when we were talking on Sunday that it was like if he was in a Star Wars Speak Now Taylor's version outfit. And it just felt like, yeah, I sent it to you screaming, like, Lewis Hamilton celebrating Speak Now Taylor's version. Because he's just covered in, like, purple rhinestones.
Lighting it, it was like, that's gonna be different. But I'm like, my brain is just screaming. I'm like, the background, whatever, it was either F1, whichever official account posted it, and had Bejeweled as the background music. And then I'm just like, I don't know if it's Taylor Swift, and I don't know if it's Star Wars, and I don't know if it's Louis Vuitton, but I think I love all of it.
But it's Lewis Hamilton, and that's
the real answer.
The Instagram account, Amazing Lou, which pulls together all the outfits and the sources, I think she collectively pulled over the course of this weekend 12 to 15 different fits from different things. And he captioned his dump today, Lewis Hamilton Fashion Week, and that is what this week was. It was Lewis Hamilton Fashion Week.
Yep.
But I think Friday outfit, which was the Louis Vuitton that sparkled when he moved, like that's like the grayish color, like that was probably my favorite because when I saw the video of him moving and it sparkling, I screamed. I was like, this is the most incredible thing I've seen him wear in years.
More sparkles. Yeah. Keith Lewis in sparkles. I love that sparkles are in fashion. This is great. It's so much fun. So now we have to talk about the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, yes, we were talking earlier. This is at Hard Rock Stadium. The Miami Autodrome is also Hard Rock Stadium, and this is an entire track built around an official NFL stadium. And no one, I think, takes advantage, and yes, they are helping put on the race, but, like, Miami Dolphins are like, if we're going to be a part of this and we're going to be here, we're going to show up and we're going to get people involved and we're going to be like, hello, we are here, we are here, we are here. There were jerseys in the conference room for every single player. There were jerseys at the end of the race. There were Miami Dolphin helmets at the end of the race. Was legitimately an entire NFL F1 driver combine that happened on Thursday that basically like F2 drivers, reserve drivers, everyone could compete in it. Surprising podium for this is you got a P3 for the official, what is being called as the F1 Miami Drivers Combine. Nico Hulkenberg in P3, Nick DeVries in P2, and not surprising to me, P1 is Pierre.
Hey, Nico Hulkenberg got a podium finally.
Oh my goodness! Lifetime. I can't even sounder clap. That was wow.
I think I just broke Nicole's brain.
I did that because he did it, and there was no trophy involved.
Hey, we don't know that, but we haven't seen any content with the trophy. I hope there is. I really hope. If there's not, hey, we've given you a lot of content ideas today, my F1. Like, please, someone, like, now they're giving out that trophy for the Driver Overtake Award of the month, which is like, so I think there should, like, at Imola, I want someone to have to sit down with Nico Hulkenberg and present him with a P3 trophy for the Miami Drivers Combine. Amazing.
And in between all of the NBA playoff fun and yes, whatever sprained ankle, Jimmy Butler got dinner with Esteban. Like, of all of the players in the world that you would pick to having dinner with Esteban and vice versa. I don't necessarily think I would have necessarily say right now in this busy time it would have been Jimmy Butler and Esteban, but I was pleasantly surprised, and it was. I wonder what they talked about. I wonder what they ordered. I have a lot of questions. And overall, I just have to acknowledge again, this is all about the eyes on the city of Miami. This is all about the eyes on the Grand Prix. Race is not about the race, which is, I think, again, something a lot of people are missing. The coverage of this race just in the American zeitgeist was absolutely unreal. GQ Sports was literally all over the place. Had individual interviews with Daniel on social, with Alex and Lewis and Oscar on their pages, on their own social accounts. There was a ton of Miami news coverage. Every single local TV station, radio station was reporting live from the race. You could not turn on the TV in Miami and not see someone at the Grand Prix. The Washington Post was covering the F1 race. So there was content there. It may have not been as sparkly, shiny, as new as it was in years previous, but it's still being deemed important enough for American news media outlets to want to cover. And I think that'll continue to grow. And I think this was an interesting year of seeing GQ and an outlet really taking advantage of doing something differently besides like, it's a race in Miami and this is Formula One. They took it as, get to know the drivers. Here you go. Here's these profiles. So hopefully next year we'll see more stuff like that.
I think it's interesting. It's good to point out that American news outlets don't currently send people actively around the globe with F1. Like the way British media outlets like Sky Sports go to every race. Like ESPN just normally takes Sky Sports coverage and then they work and collaborate with people who already are going to the races. Like Nate Saunders is one of them. He works a lot with ESPN, and he might have an official ESPN title now, but that wasn't the origin of that relationship. He always went to all the races. It is abnormal for GQ to obsessively to send someone to an F1 race, like you're saying. And even ESPN, the amount of content ESPN created and interviewing all the drivers, and like that's why F1 cares about Miami. Like, so if you're ever like wondering like what makes this so different, like why is this such a big deal for F1, it's because they can get outlets like GQ to just be there and make so much content all day and talk about F1 in a way that they don't normally.
A lot of people that now know that Alex Albon is scared of flying, and that's because of GQ Sports. So again, there was a huge jam-packed gossip grid. There was a lot going on. I'm sure I missed some things. I'm sure I missed some people, but did my best, and I can't wait for the next one. Can't wait for the next Pop Culture Roundup on Gossip Grid. Thank you. And we will definitely see you next time.
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Gossip Grid, where I give you everything F1 pop culture related, and it is going to be very hard to follow up all the fun that is the Miami Grand Prix that I gave you last week, but hey, I'm going to try anyway. So, we actually got this news during Miami Grand Prix weekend at the F1 Accelerate convention that was going on at the exact same time, but there was too much going on and we had to wait to take some time to talk about this. So, it was announced that Jerry Bruckheimer and Joseph Kosinski, who's directing the new F1 Apple TV movie with Lewis Hamilton and Brad Pitt, that there's going to be an 11th team added at Silverstone this year, and people like panic that there's going to be real on-track racing and Brad Pitt's going to be in the car, and it's like, guys, everyone calm down. That is logistically really not what's going to happen. So Brad Pitt will be doing some on-track action, not during the race. He will be driving an F2 adapted car that was designed by Mercedes this year, and obviously due to safety reasons and complications that would cause with regulations and the entire competition, it would literally be virtually impossible for this to be filmed during actual F1 action, besides like getting the real race as B-roll, which they will be doing, which is really cool. One of our men that we reference all the time for the things that he quotes on, CEO Stefano Domenicalo, had literally talked about this recently, that it's going to be one of the first movies to be filming within a live racing event like this, and that it is going to be very invasive, but they're going to be doing everything they can to keep it in control, but they want to show that no matter what's going on, F1 never stops. So I'm always excited for Silverstone, and I'm definitely going to be excited this year to see what's going to be happening, and Brad Pitt's going to be in full makeup, costume, uniform, character all weekend.
If he's going to be on track in between sessions, like, you would definitely, if you're at Silverstone, get to see it. But I wonder if, like, we'll be watching FP2 and we'll just get, like, random shots of Brad Pitt walking around with, like, this massive film crews following. Like, I'd be interested if they are able to keep this off the normal broadcast. And I hope they aren't. I hope we get to get little sneak previews, like, in the background of everything.
It would be smart of F1 to do that. I would be really shocked if Mercedes doesn't. I really could see Mercedes taking advantage of this because they're, like, designing the car, and this is a part of the thing with Lewis. Right, like, hello, please do this. It's great marketing, and I want to see more BTS, and just, that's so cool. It's like a whole extra team and things. And any more insight on this movie that we can get, the better, and that's, like, really when we'll get probably our first look of, like, what the movie's gonna look like. So very excited about that. Now on to another, I guess you could say another Mercedes-related story. Lewis Hamilton was at the Lakers last week, Game 6 against the Warriors. He was sitting courtside with his business partner and actor Leonardo DiCaprio. They are both part owners of the Neat Burger, all plant-based burger co. So they were sitting together at the game, and who knows how much those tickets were actually worth, but I bet they paid probably nothing and got to sit there for good PR.
That's
but
not true. Lakers don't do that.
They don't.
So actually, I don't know about Madison Square Garden, but if you went to a Milwaukee game, that would be the case. But Staples Center, people, like, so many celebrities want those tickets that 100% they're paying for them. Well,
of all those people, I guess, you know, Leo and Lewis are probably doing fine and can definitely afford.
But if you see celebrities at Lakers games, they're paying for those tickets because there's just too many celebrities who would want to go to those games who are relevant enough to do so.
Yeah,
Fun fact.
Like, this game.
Right. Fun fact that because so many celebrities go to Lakers games, they'll, like, show them on the broadcast. And I actually got a call from my father, who is not an F1 fan. Like, Lewis Hamilton was at the Lakers game! Did you see him? Because they did, like, a whole... Like, they went through a lot of celebrities, but they... Like, Lewis got his own shot with, like, a byline and everything on the broadcast.
The screenshot of that caused a really talented fan did a good job of photoshopping that photo to say 8-time world champion, and people thought that the Lakers organization made, like, a super call out because it looked really real. But it was not, but you know it is. That's not obvious from my current attire of how I feel about that. But after the game, Lewis shared photos of him sitting front row and just added the caption, "Great game, great energy," so he had a fabulous time. It was another really big, interesting event going on this weekend. So in Venice, why were so many F1 faces hanging out in Venice for 3 days? Well, this is actually what the people of the internet have started to be calling the F1 royal wedding. So this wedding included guests that were Toto Wolff, Susie Wolff, Stefano Domenicali, and Daniel Ricciardo was in the wedding, and this all makes a lot of sense because it was Chloe Stroll and Scotty James who were getting married. Who are these people? How are they related to Formula One? Chloe Stroll, daughter of Lawrence Stroll and sister of Lance Stroll. Scotty James, Australian snowboarder, Red Bull athlete, Danny Rick's BFF. So actually, Lance, of all people, introduced them and said to his sister, "I just met your future husband." Love that story. Really incredible. Really funny how these paths all cross, but that's why so many F1 people spent 3 days in Venice this past weekend. And last fun bit of news are to American US fans, we are getting an F1 arcade in the US. They currently have one in London that does really cool events like watch parties. They have a ton of simulators in this arcade, and I'm really, really dying to go. So they're opening one in Boston in early 2024. It is supposed to be at the Boston Seaport with 69 full motion racing simulators, lots of food, drink experiences, an electric atmosphere, literal exact quote, and perfect game watching experience, race watching experience. In London, they have watch parties that have competitions and prizes and trivia and all that different kind of stuff, and like a DJ. So I'm really hoping that they keep that same energy and type of activities in Boston. And I definitely will take a visit there next year once it's open. So definitely maybe not as jam-packed, as exciting as Miami Grand Prix, but I always think F1 and pop culture moments are pretty great. So that's all I got for you this week.
I thought it was just as exciting.
Just a little bit less Vin Diesel.
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
I would like it to be known to the podcast audience that when Nicole told me she was really sick, I said, do you want to do a Gossip Grid this week, or do you want to push it to next week? Because I completely understand if she was like, nope, can't do it. She was like, no, this is the one thing I'm determined to do this week. Because it's Monaco. You have to do Gossip Grid. So I want it to be known that I gave Nicole the out, but she is here delivering on a Gossip Grid for you all.
Thank you. I'm dying slowly inside, but pop culture keeps me going. So, welcome to Gossip Grid, a very special voiced version of Gossip Grid from myself, but it is the Monaco GP, and the pop culture at Monaco waits for absolutely no one, waits for absolutely no sickness to go away, and we have to talk about this week because it is keeping me going entirely. So, Monaco. Monaco is all about the glitz and glam and everything, so I'm here to give you everything you need to know about F1 and pop culture that's happened in the last week and basically everything that went down at Monaco. First, I have to start off, and I might be part of this tiny population that did not know exactly where this is from. So all over the internet, and we'll see it constantly all over during the F1 season, but particularly during the Monaco Grand Prix, is this voice clip used 1,000 times of, it's the Monaco Grand Prix. I never missed the Grand Prix. And I realized I never knew at all what that was. So just to share a bit of knowledge, in case there's anybody else that's out there that had absolutely no idea what it was from, it's from a British comedy series called Friday Night Dinners that follows a British Jewish family and their weekly Friday night dinners. And this particular clip is from season 4, episode 5, called The Funeral. So if you need to go look into that a little bit more, I actually watched a lot of the episode and it is really, really funny and feels very relatable. Anytime a family member tells me I need to do something on a Sunday when there's a Grand Prix, I'm like, well, I can't. It's the Grand Prix. I never miss it. So now if you know, there's your context. So, Monaco GP, we know. Tons of celebrities. They always go to show up. So I'm going to try to give you as many celebrities that were present. I'm definitely going to miss some because as soon as I kept trying to compile my list, there was already more. So I tried to give as much concise, but also show how many people were there. So here we go. Celebrities at the Monaco Grand Prix. Gotta start off with my personal favorite, and we've already talked about him, Tom Holland. Tom Holland was there waving the checkered red flag. He was actually there as a guest of Red Bull, but made it very, very clear that he was a longtime Lewis Hamilton fan and was rooting for Lewis to be successful in that race. So thank God Tom Holland can stay in the front runnings of great Spider-Man of all time. Even if he was there as a guest of Red Bull, he knows where his allegiances lie and that he needed to share that. Bad Bunny was there all weekend. He wore an incredibly really wild outfit of a vintage bikini print from Jean-Paul Gaultier. That was from 1995. It also, I can't figure out if his arm was photoshopped in that photo. Someone please confirm and or deny. But the funnest thing was he did a great bit with Checo where Bad Bunny put on Checo's entire race suit and his helmet, got in the car, and then Checo comes running out saying, hey, get out, that's my car. So really fun bits. I actually really enjoyed watching Checo and Bad Bunny banter together. Perfect pairing. Fantastic. Absolutely love that. The entire cast of the upcoming movie for Gran Turismo is coming out. Archie Madekwe, Orlando Bloom, David Harbour, who I absolutely love from Stranger Things. It was his first F1 race. We're all there. Conor McGregor was on his own yacht, rented yacht, having the time of his life and making sure everyone really knew that he was there having the time of his life on his yacht. Maria Sharapova was there giving out the Pirelli Pole Award, is also a longtime friend and fan of Lewis Hamilton.
That was my favorite interview of the weekend when Laura Winter, I believe, went up to her and was like, oh, you're here with Red Bull, are you rooting for Red Bull? And she goes, nah, I'm rooting for Lewis. Conversation summarized.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a trend this weekend of guests of Red Bull having an allegiance to Lewis, which leads also perfectly into the next celebrity that was there. Neymar was there. Longtime friend of Lewis Hamilton, was also a guest of Red Bull this weekend, took numerous photos with Tom Holland, and tried to give Lewis a high five and wave him down as Lewis sped past on a scooter. Lewis did not see him, and as an apology, or later on, I think it was yesterday, Lewis reposted a clip of this happening on his Instagram story. It was like, sorry Neymar, totally not on purpose, but it's a really hysterical clip if you go watch Lewis leaving Neymar hanging. Then we saw Chris Rock supporting Mercedes, chit-chatting with Toto, fully covered in Mercedes gear. James Marsden was there. Catherine Zeta-Jones and her husband Michael Douglas, who are longtime friends of the Stroll family, were most recently at Chloe Stroll's wedding, were also spotted there. Kylie Minogue was there and traded sneakers with an RB with a Red Bull team member because her heels, of course, were killing her feet. So she traded shoes and then was walking around with some Red Bull sneakers for the rest of the day. Liam Cunningham was there, Odell Beckham Jr., celebrity chef Tom Kerridge was there, Noah Schnaps, also of Stranger Things, was there, so wondering if he hung out with David Harbour. He's a longtime Charles Leclerc fan, had a Charles flag on his yacht. They were actually spotted together at the 8 p.m. Monaco after party. It's the brand that is the jewelry brand that's promoted by Charles, and a lot of people are now saying that he's
it's
like
the Bears.
It's the Bears.
It's the jewelry brand promoted by Charles, but it's the Bears.
It's the Bears. It's the gummy bears. It's the gummy bear jewelry. But everyone is saying that Noah Schnaps might be like the long-lost Leclerc brother because he literally looks exactly like them. And I'm all for it. If you look at the photos, you could tell me that they're all related, and I would not bat an eye at it. Joe traded jerseys with Real Madrid, Thibaut Courtois. So we saw some exciting things outside of Monaco as well that I just need to touch upon and let you know happened. Toto Wolff, my fave, sat down with Forbes and did this really unbelievable interview about his entire journey in his career. And Toto gives some really great individual snippets of his views on his own success and how he values determination, ambition, and obsession over ability and talent, which is like the most Toto thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
It's just such a Toto way to phrase that.
He
could just say, you could just say, I value hard work more than natural born talent, which is like a normal way to phrase exactly what you just quoted him saying. But of course he was like,
determination, ambition, and obsession are what exactly. He also says that his comfort place is in places of intensity and pressure, aka a race weekend, and the way that he's able to maintain and kind of keep on is he lives by a schedule. And how does he live by a schedule? Well, his exact example is every single day he has the exact same thing for breakfast: extra toasty pumpernickel bread, butter, tomatoes, and a cappuccino and sparkling water. So there you go. If you want to eat like Toto for breakfast, get yourself some pumpernickel bread and extra toasted.
I think one day we need to try that. We need to both eat Toto's breakfast and see if we like it. I also if his comfort place is places of intensity, I would just love to see Toto play Animal Crossing.
He'd panic. He'd hate it. He would hate
Too settled?
No, he'd hate
calming.
it so much. That music would literally drive him crazy. But check out the interview with Forbes. Really interesting, and it was like a perfect sit down with them. SD Bestie last weekend went to the Cannes Film Festival and did a whole Get Ready video with GQ France. I have to continue to give props to GQ for how involved they get with F1 drivers, whether it's on their individual accounts, their national accounts, their sports accounts, all over. They're finding really great ways to fit them in. At Cannes, he wore a custom Berluti suit, which is a partner of this season with Alpine, and really cool little touch that he had customized his initials on one cuff and 31 on the other cuff. Alex Albon also did another video with GQ Sports where they gave him an opportunity to go anonymously onto different social media websites and respond to actual questions for fans. Things that I learned in this. He is actually the second tallest F1 driver in F1 history. Him and SD Bestie are tied for second since they are both 6'2", and Justin Wilson, who raced back in 2003, beat them literally by 1 inch at being 6'3". So there was a whole jam-packed bit from Monaco and a little bit outside of Monaco as well. And that's all I got for you on this week's Gossip Grid, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Gossip Grid. I am so happy to be back with more of a voice and more of my immune system. Spanish GP, again, surprise, gave us a lot to talk about because we've been talking about it all day, but particularly when it comes to F1 and pop culture. So I'm here to give you everything that you need to know from this weekend. But first, I have to start with a happy belated 21st birthday to Joe, who celebrated last week and received a very special decorated driver's room, and I really hope that Dior sent him something nice. Now, a long list of celebrities that were at this race is kind of insane. You would think that it was basically Monaco all over again, but Shakira back at another F1 race, rocking the brand new Dua Lipa and Versace collab, covered in butterflies. She looked fantastic as always. Rosalia, Nicki Nicole, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Michael Douglas at another race. They're really stroll family groupies, hardcore. And I mean, if I could go to multiple F1 races, I would. Then we had our DJ mix, Martin Garrix, Calvin Harris, and then we had so many footballers, soccer players, depending on where you are in the world is what you will call them, but it was basically footballer central this past weekend. Kylian Mbappe, Neymar, Mason Mount, who gave the Prix Award to Max. He's currently with Chelsea FC. Had a really funny interaction with Martin Brundle during Martin Brundle's grid walk about if the footballer will be making the switch from Chelsea to Manchester United. And I know that meant a lot of things to a lot of people. Then we had a couple of other people from Chelsea FC, Ben Chilwell, João Felix, and then from Liverpool we had Trent Alexander-Arnold, Barcelona pair of Sergio Busquets and Robert Lewandowski, and Real Madrid's manager, Rafa Benitez. So, sorry if I missed some of your favorites, but soccer was definitely showing up this week on the grid. Puma was taking major advantage of the athletes that they work with, that they're partnered with, and having them all in one place. So the Puma Motorsports account featured Neymar with almost everybody. Neymar was with Joe. Neymar was with Charles and Carlos. Neymar was with Lewis. Neymar was with George. So he was all over the paddock. He was in all different garages. He was filming a lot of really hysterical videos of drivers imitating each other or drivers imitating Neymar. Some weird straw challenge with Joe. And Neymar even hopped into the W14 for quick seat fitting, as literally what Lewis said. And also, if you're interested, that Puma Motorsports account is currently giving away a Neymar branded and signed race suit. So if you're interested, go check that out. Really cool. And Pierre had a special deal with Warner Brothers this past weekend. His helmet was branded for the upcoming movie The Flash, which actually comes out on June 16th. I'm not telling you that because this is a sponsored segment, literally at all. But this was the last race before that movie is released. So who knows what happens? Maybe we'll see Pierre do any sort of brand placement before that. Maybe catch him in the Flash suit. I don't know. That's thinking big. But his helmet had a really sick design. Completely DC branded, logos from Flash, Superman, and Batman, and I always appreciate any superhero call out. And have to end this week's Gossip Grid with the Paddock Fit King, as always, because Lewis continues to impress me every single weekend with how he turns the paddock basically into a runway. His outfits were unbelievably sick this weekend. Really big fan of his Valentino red pattern number. I want to steal his Celine sunglasses. He had multiple custom suit pieces from Unette Bennett, and Prada sneakers, which I also would love to steal, but his absolute show-stopping number of the entire weekend, and my personal favorite, was a fluorescent green matching Versace set. And gosh, is he really just putting every other driver to shame. Even when Fernando Alonso shows up in a patterned polo, Lewis is like, sit down, this is for me. That is your F1 and pop culture gossip grid this week, and I can't wait to see what I have for you next week, or maybe when we get back from Canada.
You really broke me when you dropped the, transfer rumor. I was like, Nicole, where is this soccer knowledge coming from?
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Gossip Grid for all things F1 and pop culture. And this is a Gossip Grid that has come unbelievably full circle for me. So today I have to start Gossip Grid with a very special question for Ms. Serena van der Woodsen, the Blake Lively. When are we seeing you on the grid? Because the paddock fits are going to serve so hard.
just my PSA. I have to start Gossip Grid that way. We have a little bit of a week off, so drivers had a little bit more free time, so a lot of them headed to Paris for Fashion Week. So Pierre was attending a Louis Vuitton fashion show and was sporting some really interesting denim jorts. He was sat next to English soccer player Marcus Rashford and June Ambrose, who's the creative director of the women's basketball for Puma, and she also designed the line for Puma and Ferrari. Then after all that fun, Pierre went to go see Coldplay, and he really loves the song Paradise. Go check out the video somewhere on the internet. He goes hard to Paradise. Joe was at... I don't know if you have something to say. I'm sorry, I'm just like... Now imagining good. Okay. Joe, our favorite Dior brand ambassador, was spotted front row seats at their show for Paris Fashion Week. He somehow makes an outfit composed of white pants, a blue and white striped shirt, and a green vest work. None of that sounds like it should make sense or even sound attractive. And he pulls it off, and it looks absolutely incredible. But it would not be any fashion week if we did not talk about Mr. Sir Lewis Hamilton, who was also at the same Louis Vuitton show that Pierre went to as well. It was Pharrell's first show as creative director of the menswear line, so really big to have a lot of big names and celebrity faces were showing up there. Lewis's outfit was this beautiful, minimalistic, all-black look with this stunning Louis Vuitton damier jacket, and also he's really leaning into the men with pearl necklaces on trend, and I fully support it. I absolutely love it. Lewis was spotted chatting with a whole bunch of different celebrities, but one that particularly caught the attention of a lot of fans online was him chit-chatting with Kim Kardashian. We've heard a lot about the Drake curse, but now there's a sudden rumor about the Kim Kardashian curse. So a couple weeks ago, she was sporting an Arsenal jersey at the Emirates Stadium during a match, and they ended up losing the league title to Manchester City. So every single fan was freaking out, telling Lewis that he has to stay away if he wants to continue winning world titles. So just to sound of an alarm to all athletes out there that the Kardashians may have a curse there. Then Lewis was spotted at another fashion show at the Wells Bonner fashion show. He hung out with Jaylen Brown at the Boston Celtics. Thank you, GQ Sports, for being my go-to of finding what everything and everywhere F1 drivers are doing in their off weeks. Beautiful beige double-breasted suit, beige pants, beige shoes, monochromatic vibes, absolutely incredible. And the Lewis show is not over because it never is. It's his world and we're just living in it. So British rapper Stormzy released a music video for his new song Longevity Flow, and right around the 1 minute mark, you will see the one and only Sir Lewis Hamilton looking like he's giving Stormzy basically a private tour or some kind of like escorting him around multiple old Mercedes F1 cars. If you blink, you'll miss it. But again, go check it out in his new music video. It's at around 59 seconds. So if all of the fun in music videos and in Paris wasn't enough for Lewis on his week off, he went to Glastonbury. He took a helicopter straight to the stage, watched Elton John perform backstage with Canadian filmmaker and Elton John's husband, David Furnish. Was also seen in the same VIP backstage spot with Andrew Garfield, Aaron Taylor-Johnson. Everyone was at Glastonbury this weekend. Elton John's performance was very anticipated and potentially one of their biggest performances ever for the festival. Today, Ice-T made it very clear that after he was on the Drink Champagne's podcast rocking a Mercedes F1 jersey, he received a lot of buzz of people wondering, is he a Lewis Hamilton fan? He wanted to put all of the questions to rest and immediately confirmed that he is a longtime Lewis Hamilton fan by tweeting a throwback picture of him and Lewis. And like, Lewis could be 14 in that photo. I mean, he's definitely probably already won at least 1 or 2 world championship titles by that time, but he definitely looks very, very young. It's not a recent photo. So shout out to Ice-T for being a longtime fan.
It was pre-Lewis Hamilton with a stylist and a good haircut, because it was definitely McLaren times where they like made him have a buzz cut, and the baggy cargo shorts were definitely giving like 2000s.
Yeah, there's a lot of screaming early 2000s. It kind of looks like a Lewis Hamilton cosplaying as Adam Sandler. Like, that is what
it's my favorite era to look at of Lewis Hamilton photos, because if you told that kid that he would look like this now, like, he'd probably be like, oh, no, racing. And like,
yeah.
Like, love the evolution of Lewis Hamilton.
So it was a really great way to just kind of prove a longtime fan, been here forever, supporting the GOAT, obviously not even a question. So that's basically everything that I have for today's Gossip Grid, big time Lewis Hamilton show this week, but that's always fun. He gives us a lot to talk about. But I do have one more big question to wrap up this Gossip Grid, because it's been lingering in my mind ever since the Alpine announcement. So Esty Bestie, you've given us a Spider-Man helmet. Are you gonna have a Deadpool helmet now?
Hey podcast listeners, Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Gossip Grid, where I give you everything that you need to know about F1 and pop culture. So, of course, with the Silverstone Grand Prix, it was guaranteed to be a star-studded event, as there's a lot of fun and glitz and glam happening over in Britain right now. Wimbledon is currently happening, and today, as we are filming this, Charles and Pierre actually went to Wimbledon today. But everything else that we're going to talk about has to do with everything that went on in Silverstone, because
when Silverstone's going down, celebrities are there and they want to appear on the grid. So we had Florence Pugh waving the checkered red flag, who looked like she had more fun than any person I've ever seen waving the checkered flag. So bring her back for more races, and I would love to continue to see her on the grid. Hannah Waddingham correctly addresses Sir Lewis Hamilton as the 8-time world champion, and if I didn't love her enough already from Ted Lasso, that really confirmed it. Cara Delevingne not only did a hot lap, but was able to take a seat in the CR43 as a guest of Alfa Romeo, and we don't need to get into it, or we can get into it, but if someone says no, that they don't want to be interviewed at something, that's okay, and you can say no to something. That doesn't mean you're not interested in the event that you're attending.
No means no, in every context. Thank you.
So, Cara Delevingne, guest of Alfa Romeo, and looked like she had a great time doing her hot lap and everything else that she was there for. Lewis Hamilton, as always, top-notch fits all weekend, so I could shout out every single one, but I will not do that. I just need to give a shout-out to... God, I think they were all my favorite, but I really absolutely loved his Mau Wow Lola matching set that he had on the first day when he showed up with Roscoe. It was unbelievable. Loved the good 44 on the back. All right. I've been dying to talk about it. You knew I was going to be talking about it. Let's talk about the Brad Pitt movie that started filming this weekend at Silverstone. We've been talking about it for a while. We haven't been getting too many details, so this is completely where we get to dive in on everything that we now know about this movie. So, if you didn't know, Brad Pitt was filming in Silverstone this weekend. He is filming a F1 movie with executive producer Lewis Hamilton. It is being done with the director of the most recent Top Gun Maverick movie. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and everything that we got to know this weekend. Rumor on the grid is that the movie will be called Apex, but that is in a now deleted tweet courtesy of ESPN F1, but the current team name that we are seeing across the garage, across their race suits, across the livery, is Apex GP, so it seems like that is the team name of the film. Brad Pitt will play Sonny Hayes, Jameson Idris will play Joshua Pierce. All of the footage and clips of all of their actual real-life garage they got to take over was incredibly funny, except all of the data on the screens was completely out of whack and absolutely hysterical. And I think we need to have Brianna dive into that on another episode. The livery was definitely giving rich energy, even though they were probably going for the black and gold Lotus. I really just think they were trying to go for as far of an opposite of all of the current cars on the grid, and you don't have any black and gold on the grid right now, so I think that's definitely what they were going for with their F2 modified car, courtesy of Mercedes. So yes, it's giving rich energy, but they're really just trying to not be any current cars on the grid.
Rich energy really ruined the fun for the rest of the grid, because now no one's going to be able to bring a black and gold livery without someone making that joke, and that is disappointing, because a black and gold livery is so sick.
Right, and they even with their fire suits, like their race suits are white, like Apex GP, like they didn't even get to do like the black and gold like kind of look there, which would also look really sick, but I loved all the rich energy jokes all weekend. Absolutely really, really funny. We're finally getting more details of what this movie is actually about, besides it just being that, you know, Brad Pitt's a washed up F1 driver, like comes back. We kind of still only have that information, but with a little bit more context. So Brad Pitt is a famous driver who raced in the 90s. He had like a really horrible crash or something that kind of makes him disappear, step out of the limelight of F1. And then years later, he has a really good friend that is the owner of an F1 team and contacts him to come back and help out. The team is in last place. They are in the 21st, 22nd spots on the grid, so that's what's happening in this world of F1. And they've never even scored a point. So they have this young phenom driver who's played by Jameson Idris, and they bring Brad in to kind of be his mentor, his role model, and form the team as like a final Hail Mary for the entire ordeal of what everything that will ensue. It sounds like they're using really unique, crazy, cool technology for all of this. They have cameras mounted all over the car that they're using, so we're going to get some really good viewpoints of it. I'm really expecting a Top Gun F1 style of movie. Brad Pitt stopped into the drivers' meeting to thank everyone for letting them be there, and you could tell which drivers were definitely fangirling a little bit too hard. Spot a selfie on Pierre Gasly's Instagram that he definitely needed to take with Brad Pitt. And you know what? I gotta give Carlos some, I'm gonna give him kudos for just gonna be right place, right time, because if Brad Pitt was filming a movie in my workplace, you best believe I would make sure that I was standing everywhere I needed to be to make sure that I had a cameo in that, when he was really probably just doing his job and being where the race cars drivers were. So hopefully we will continue to see filming throughout the season, and I'm excited to see more of this behind the scenes of whatever this F1 movie will turn out to be.
I was really jealous of everyone who was at the track this weekend that got to see the stunt drivers go around in their filming, and by the way, it was stunt drivers going around. Like, they didn't put Brad Pitt in an F2 car and say go fast around the circuit, which I probably would have paid to see. Like, that sounds entertaining. But like, you got these like two cars side by side, and one had the camera and one had the stunt driver. It was really cool.
Yeah, the footage is definitely going to be really sick and interesting, and I also just can't wait till when we're seeing this and being like, oh, that's Silverstone, and we know what's actually happening in all of this. But I'm excited for this movie. I'm excited to see the technology that they're using, and again, just having a major motion picture based on F1, and with Lewis involved as an executive producer. I'm excited to see what touches he adds to the film as well.
I know Lewis is really focused on making it as accurate as possible. And there was one thing that happened this weekend that I thought was very inaccurate. And it wasn't the date on the screen that you already pointed out, because no one's going to see that in the movie. But it was the fact that the drivers, the Apex GP drivers standing there for the national anthem, and neither of them had their race suits sluttily tied around their waist. They had them fully on. That is not accurate. What is going on?
Well, that's everything that I have for this week's Gossip Grid, jam-packed straight out of a Hollywood film this time around, and it will not be the last. So I'll catch you next time on Gossip Grid.
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
You absolutely everything you need to know about Formula One and pop culture. It's been a little bit of a lull, but we are back, and we got quite a few things to talk about. I have scoured the internet in every way possible to give a well-developed Gossip Grid, because we deserve one after this drought. So I have to start off with something that means a lot to me, but maybe not related, maybe not be as important to a lot of other people, and some people might not know who this is. One of my favorite content creators, YouTubers, streamers, whatever you want to label his job title, Julian Solomita. He is also so incredibly lucky to be married to Jenna Marbles. Has recently entered his F1 era. It has come up in streams. It has been mentioned several times. He was talking about Monza on a stream last week. And he's also recently started to play Sims. Now, I'm not going to get into how and what happened in his sim house, but a baby ended up in the sim house, and he renamed the baby to Max Verstappen. So now there is a blonde sim baby named Max Verstappen in Julia Solomita's sim house. I will keep you updated on how the baby develops. Now, we were just talking a lot about the strike and everything like that, so here comes a little bit of a gray area. A lot of my previous Gossip Grids were talking about the Brad Pitt F1 movie with Apple TV. It was filming, and then it was not filming. It had stopped filming, but sorta hasn't. There were a couple clips being filmed last week at Monza. It's possible that the people being filmed are not part of SAG, but that's a little bit unclear. But I'm really only bringing this up because I need to show Brianna, if she has not seen already, they were filming a pit stop for the movie. And if you have not seen the tweet from F1 Trolls Twitter, they filmed this entire pit stop. I'm sharing my screen, and we'll put the link in the doobly-doo so that people can find this or go on your Twitter or wherever. But here we go. Here is the pit stop bird's eye view of the Apex GP team. Now look at the tires. Look at the tires. Roll past the tires and don't go on. They never changed the tires in the pit stop. It's very weird. It's very fascinating. Editing it in post, I don't know. We're being talked about how this film is supposed to be unbelievably legit and really authentic. And we couldn't even film an actual pit stop? I don't know.
Pit stops are hard, but
film an actual team doing one. I'm getting too picky about this. It's also, I've just watched it so many times, it's weird. It's so
weird. Because they lean in and they touch, but
I know. So, whatever is happening with the movie, if it's filming, if it's not filming, please, pay people efficiently and also change tires at pit stops. I don't know. All right, now we're into our branded content alert. This is where I rapid fire a bunch of new official branded content that we're seeing from our F1 drivers being brand ambassadors and just entering really cool, different marketing endeavors because that's our favorite thing. Lewis Hamilton's done new pictures from Rimowa for a luggage campaign. Zhou Guanyu has done a whole bunch of new photos with Lululemon, and they're some of the sickest campaign photos I have seen them ever do. Oh my gosh, Checo and McDonald's are releasing a collaboration called the Checo Menu. Specially branded cups and bags, and if you look at the cups and bags, the number 11 kind of just looks like the number 1. I'm just saying, it's pretty obvious. The meal includes a hamburger that's created especially for this collab, a beverage, 2 orders of fries. The picture has 2 orders of fries, and you get 2 orders of fries with the Checo Menu.
What size fries?
They look like medium to me. This also appears to be like McDonald's Mexico, so the sizing is completely out of my American brain wheelhouse of food sizes for other places. So it's definitely smaller than if it was in America.
I just want to know if this is like a girl math thing where it's like, oh, you could just order the large, but actually if you order 2 mediums, it's the perfect amount of whatever it is, because that's some serious girl math in my opinion, and I want to know what the rationale is.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions, but I think just 2 orders of fries, what a magical thing. I also just want to imagine that Checo he orders 2 fries. It's like his car fries for the way home, and then the fries for when he's eating his actual meal.
I can get behind that. Car fries are important.
You gotta have car fries. Special edition included in this menu, every single item, I'm assuming besides the soda, has local spices, tahini, beans, lime, jalapenos, a bunch of other things to make it a little bit more like that Mexican flair, which is really cool. Checo has also announced a deal with Ruffles and has a special thing happening with Kit Kats and Nestle right now. Can you tell that the Mexico GP is coming up? Because I can, even though it is weeks away. Williams Racing and Golf merch. Oh my goodness gracious. After the fans have voted for the Bolder Than Bold Golf Williams livery for Singapore, Japan, and Qatar, they are now making it merch. So they want F1 fans that have voted to select this livery to now buy merch that matches the livery they selected. It is genius, it's beautiful, it's incredible. They will also have a show car at their fan zone in Singapore, so I don't know how many times on Gridwalk we can say that if you were going to a race event, if Williams is doing a pop-up, oh my goodness, go. You can get your Golf Williams merch, take a picture next to the show car livery that you now match. Unbelievable, so great, can't wait to see it. It looks really cool. I love, Golf livery is a great ode to racing history. But the absolute winner of the merch wars currently right now in my mind, and I still haven't seen it yet, Alex Albon pet merch. Alex is continuing to flex his marketing genius muscles. I can't get over this. Please go watch this video on his socials or follow this new Alex Albon Athletics account at AA23. He's having a very important conference room meeting with all of his pets about his merchandise. We're getting Alex Albon merch soon, and I'm hoping that one of the items at least has all of his pets' faces on it. But it is such silly, chaotic content. Please go check it out if you haven't already. And wrapping up, a little bit of big things I just couldn't let go. I am a major Swiftie, if you can't tell from everything happening behind me, or if you've never listened to the show before. So my world was absolutely rocked when I got to hear Daniel Ricciardo singing his favorite Taylor Swift song, Our Song. And oh my goodness, he definitely knows the words. It was completely out of nowhere, off the top of his head. And he also exercises to Olivia Rodrigo while singing Driver's License. Fernando Alonso has claimed that Taylor Swift is in his top 3 artists on Spotify, and I will say nothing else about that, and no one say anything else to me about that. George Russell has attended the opening Rugby World Cup with the Enos Chemical Company. I don't know. Chemical companies are sending George Russell to the Rugby World Cup. And last, I have a big question for all grid walkers out there. Lando Norris has brought back Lando.jpg, PG, whatever you want to call it. As part of the Grid Walk Friendship Bracelet watch, I have noticed in his most recent posts, he has a friendship bracelet on, but I can't read what it says. I'm able to make out one word says this. I don't know what the rest of it says. So I need some Lando fans to tell me what his friendship bracelet says, because it looks like it's long. Well, that was an unbelievable, very bold, jam-packed return of Gossip Grid, and it felt very good to be back, and I hope everyone enjoyed it, and I'm really gonna do my best to not have the same lull as we had previously. So I'll see you next time on Gossip Grid.
Round of applause. Welcome back, Gossip Grid.
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Gossip Grid, giving you every single thing that you need to know about F1 and pop culture. And boy, do we have a jam-packed episode today. We were on a hiatus for a little while, but that's hiatus no longer. Plenty of things to talk about today, and we will kick it off with Lewis Hamilton went to Nintendo World. First off, super jealous. I want to go to Nintendo World. It looks like it's a ton of fun. Him and a big group of friends got to go while they were in Japan, but he was dressed as Toad. First off, adorable. Love the outfit. Love the sweater vest. But this means so much to me because Toad is my Mario Kart go-to character. So, me and Lewis are the same because I'm immediately assuming that that's who he picked as Mario Kart. Because why would you dress like him if you didn't? Anyway. Going into the Japanese Grand Prix, Puma's been really utilizing and taking advantage of their partnership with Formula One this year. So they had the Puma Formula One Suzuka collection inspired by Japanese culture, full of cherry blossoms, really sick. Featured 2 t-shirts, 1 pair of sneakers, modeled after racing shoes worn by F1 drivers. So maybe if you want a pair of racing shoes looking like an F1 driver, but you are a normal person that wants sneakers, you can get these Puma shoes. Check them out. Really cute, really cool design. Definitely worth picking up. Just a formal request for the entire F1 fan base. Can we continue making drivers like cartoon movie characters? I need more edits of Max as the sloth from Ice Age, which evolved into Sunday's entire podium, being edited into all of the sloths from Ice Age. Please, someone make a pic of the grid with every single one of the cartoon doppelgangers. Sloths are not required. However, they are not discouraged if the resemblance is there. Thank you very much. Going on to our next little bit of lots of collaborations for the Japanese Grand Prix. First, we of course got to touch about Lewis Hamilton, and I'm going to really test myself with Japanese names this week, and I do not speak Japanese, so I'm really going to do my best at getting these as correct as possible. So, Lewis Hamilton with Hajime Sorayama, his entire collab this week with his helmet, with 44 Plus. So, Sorayama has this entire collaboration of this, has their entire artistic style as this feminine, chrome, robotic, alien bot thing. You've probably seen it before. It's very well known. Lewis decided to partner up with him for his Plus 44 collaboration, which had jackets, t-shirts, pants, accessories. Oh my goodness, I want some, but it is pricey. And his racing helmet, the chrome racing helmet. It looked beautiful on track. The photos were out of this world. The yellow light in the visor, all of it was everything I want a chrome helmet to be and more. Something else that's really unbelievable, even though the race was in Japan, they had a pop-up for the Plus 44 collab in Los Angeles. Unfortunately, Brianna wasn't able to attend. Giant major TV screen with graphics of Lewis's helmet just playing over and over and over again. Hello?
It looked so fun. I was crushed I couldn't attend. But I have one complaint. It's a formal complaint. That Lewis and the Plus 44 account didn't promote the fact that they're doing this pop-up in LA at all. So I didn't even find out about it until late Saturday evening, and I'm an incredibly plugged-in Lewis Hamilton fan. So I felt devastated. I could have planned better. But really, really cool, and I hope he goes back and does future drops there as well.
More.
Hey, network in LA at your flagship store. You should message at Gridwalk Show if, there's any future Lewis Hamilton or F1 collabs, so we know ahead of time. We'll come. Okay, bye. Thank you.
Come make the content. Next collaboration was Zhou Guanyu with Hiroshi Fujiwara, a helmet design collab. Hiroshi's been called the godfather of streetwear, which totally aligns with Zhou's entire fashion aesthetic. He's also been credited with popularizing hip-hop in Japan, so still really going along with that streetwear, cool vibe. Helmet's really awesome. It's this, kind of denim-looking blue pattern. The Bell sponsor got a really big shout-out, but, again, love seeing any sort of, artist collaboration for any sort of helmets. Nikki Tutorials, another content creator that I enjoy very much. If you ever need to see some out of this world, really stellar makeup looks, just go to her channel. It's out of this world, unbelievable. She was twinning with my outfit that I wore last week. She was spotted with her husband in a hot air balloon wearing her a Lewis collab from last year's Japanese Grand Prix with Takashi Murakami. It is the flower pattern. She's been seen wearing the shirt numerous times before, so always fun to see other content creators in the space as Lewis Hamilton fans. Over the weekend in Milan, it is Milan Fashion Week all of last week, and over the weekend Ferrari had their fashion show. And to be promoting their spring 2024 collection with their fashion show in Milan, they posted some fun social content, which we don't get a ton of fun, quote-unquote, social content from Ferrari of being a little bit out of pocket and silly, but we got to see Carlos and Charles auditioning to model in the Milan fashion show. Oh, it's unique. I think I need Charles's outfit. Carlos does look like a tennis ball. Neither of them made the cut for the show, and I don't think that has anything to do with them being in Japan.
It doesn't have to do with the fact that they're too fast, Nicole.
Well, they're too fast. They're too fast. Too fast for the runways.
They're handsome, but too fast.
Lewis designed a watch with IWC, and it's got an absolute unbelievable amount of coverage for being a limited edition watch. It was covered by Bloomberg, it was covered by Forbes, but Lewis did an interview specifically with GQ about this collaboration with IWC. It's a $169,000 watch. It's this beautiful teal color. It features really intricate diamond pieces, which IWC does not normally include on, but Lewis felt very, very passionate about including this on the design, and he loved that they were willing to collaborate with him on this. He's always loved watches, back to when he would wear a Mickey Mouse watch as a kid, and he says timepieces align really well in his life because I'm literally chasing every millisecond when I'm on track. So it's really unbelievable, great pairing and branding, and IWC is only making 44 of these watches, which is rightfully so. Jamie Foxx has made his return to filming. He had a little bit of a medical scare crisis at the beginning of this year, and no one really knew what was going on. But this past Sunday, I was at the Jets game. Didn't get to watch a lot of TV. Fast forward to Monday Night Football, commercial breaks appear, I get my snack, I'm chit-chatting with my parents, I suddenly look up and I see Jamie Foxx hopping into a black and gold F1 car and driving away. Oh my goodness, I totally can't believe that I just saw an F1 car in the middle of a Monday Night Football game. But it is a promotion commercial with BetMGM. Of course, MGM being a major player in the city of Vegas and casinos overall. Jamie Foxx got to film this commercial back in July at the area resort and casino. Again, he drives the F1 car. I have not been able to find this commercial on the internet. If you can find it, please send me the link. That's awesome. And gotta wrap it up this week. Huge news. It's so unbelievably important for me to tell every single person listening to this podcast that Travis Kelce has really great taste. Did you know? He's a Mercedes fan. At the Miami GP in 2022, he was invited to the Mercedes garage. He actually got to see the W13, which I kind of feel bad for him for. He's spotted at some Miami party events, shaking hands with Lewis Hamilton. You just know he has some really great taste, so thanks, Travis.
Do you think he told Lewis to shake it off?
Ha, 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 ha.
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Gossip Grid. I'm here to give you absolutely everything that you need to know about Formula One and pop culture. And it's one of those race weekends where there's so many pop culture things going on with Formula One that I feel like I'm going to miss it. So if I miss something that was your favorite, it's not a personal attack on you. This is we're just two people with a podcast, and I can only talk about so much. And there is a jam-packed list I have here. I have to start with Bad Bunny's new album featuring the new song Monaco. Released an album last Friday. In this song called Monaco, I am not singing in Spanish, so I am speaking the English translation of it. There's literally a line that says, Verstappen arrives first, Checo arrives later. There you go.
The shade! Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and I'm sure, the English translation may not be as sassy as it is in Spanish, but that's exactly what I'm going to go with. Now, heading into Coda Fun. Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, rocking Kansas City Chiefs jerseys. Because, as we talked about last week on the pod, Alpine has once again gained investors that are all athletes. And two people on that list, Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Nothing, the scream that I scrummed, whatever, last week when I saw Esteban Ocon in a Travis Kelce jersey was unbelievable. The Alpine team using Taylor Swift references in these posts. F1 is for the girls, F1 is for me, everyone is for F1 I can't even fathom all of this. Really leaning into football because America. Ferrari, take notes on how you should actually be doing this. Alright, so celebrities are back on the F1 grid. It looks like because the writer's strike negotiations are going well. Hey, SAG, looking at you. Let's get things moving already. And maybe this race being in the US and stuff, but celebrities are showing up and care about F1 again. The one thing I need to make a big complaint about, of course, the one year I don't go to COTA, Joe Jonas and Dax Shepard both go to COTA. I'm pissed. This is not fair. Okay, just get off that soapbox for a second. Drew Barrymore hung out with Red Bull in a full RB fit. Unsure if it was a full actual fireproof fit. She interviewed Checo. Maybe we'll see that this week on the Drew Barrymore show. 100-meter sprint champion Sha'Carri Richardson gave out the trophies for the sprint race on Saturday, and she also filmed an entire behind-the-scenes clip with GQ Sports on F1 Academy, which is really awesome. Gail King, who's you can see on CBS Mornings, and Oprah's best friend, presented the F1 Academy Trophy Awards. Rory McIlroy, who's also one of the new investors of Alpine, posed as Esteban Ocon's caddy on the day of the sprint race and was carrying around his helmet and putting it in his locker. And then him and Pierre and Esteban did some putting on a mini green. Pierre sat down with Jackie Stewart to talk about the impact of French motorsports driver Francois Surveilleux, who is Pierre's helmet, paid tribute to him this past weekend. Prince Harry, I don't know if we still say Prince, Duke of Sussex. All that got taken away. I have no idea what his name is. Right, no, I don't know what his last name is, so I will call him Prince Harry because I don't think anyone...
He's Prince Harry. No one would know anything else.
But in this moment, I was like, I don't know what their royal family's name is.
A very sunburnt Prince Harry hung out with Sir Lewis Hamilton. I walked from the Mercedes garage. It also looked like George gave him some of the new GR merch that also kind of looks like it's Boy Scout merch. Adam Driver was at the Ferrari garage. This meant so much to me on so many different levels. So if you did not know, Adam Driver is playing Enzo Ferrari in the upcoming biopic. Please check out this trailer. It's unbelievably epic. It is really important for me to point out that the Ferrari movie is part of the addendum with the strike and everything going on that they're allowed to. They got approval.
Thank you. They have special approval for all of this.
Yep.
But Adam Driver is unbelievably unrecognizable in this trailer as Enzo Ferrari. Highly recommend checking this out. Comes out around Christmas, but they filmed a bunch of behind-the-scenes content with the movie's director, Michael Mann, and with Charles and Carlos in the Ferrari garage. Unfortunately, it's on Sky Sports, so someone, download it and send it to me in the States. Thank you so much. Vogue highlighting Motorcore. It's incredible. We've seen Motorcore as the trend ongoing throughout the last couple of months, but they've posted on their Instagram highlighting the effect that Motorcore has had on the fall 2023 fashion. And I quote, they said, "Tap the link in our bio to discover items and looks that will help you channel your inner Lewis Hamilton." So Vogue recognizes real fashion influence.
Did you see that it's like confirmation that the thing that's dropping on Thursday, which by the way, so like this episode drops Thursday, which means we won't be able to talk about it on this show, but Lewis is dropping like an agave drink, I believe it is. Non-alcoholic, but that's what he keeps teasing.
Yes, I have signed up for whatever like the link is on the website to get the text messages and things, but now everyone's going back and looking at all of his Instagram stories and seeing the bottle posted in the background and just the things that were on computer screens. But yeah, there's definitely pictures from an agave. It looks like farm, and it also just makes sense that that announcement would be coming in like leading up to Mexico. Really great timing, super hyped to try it, and just flashback to our episode with Bryson where he was definitely drinking something in the media pen, and it was definitely this. So Lewis Hamilton, marketing genius. Continuing to a different type of marketing genius. No, it's okay. Even though I don't necessarily think this marketing genius is entirely on purpose, it's just who he is. Gunther Steiner has his own burrito at Chipotle. So Chipotle is one of the big sponsors for MoneyGram Haas this year, and they really leaned into it. Coda at one of the Chipotles in Austin, they had one of the show cars, and fans were able to go and take pictures with the car. And also, for a short period of time, and I guess if you just go order this at Chipotle, you can get the Gunther Steiner burrito, which is funny. I would have pegged him as like a bowl man. I don't know why. I can't imagine him eating a burrito. But his order...
I can't imagine most of the European men in the paddock like picking up and eating a burrito. Like,
Yep.
Could you imagine like Charles Leclerc eating
No.
a burrito?
No, 100% no. His hands are too dainty for a burrito.
Okay, I know the episode's too packed today and you have so much more still to get to in Gossip Grid, but which of the 20 F1 drivers, not named Logan Sargent because he's American and not named Checo Perez because he's Mexican,
Damn.
which of the other 18 drivers can you actually imagine eating a burrito?
Carlos Sainz.
Oh no, I can't. Like, he's like...
I was going to say just because I think
like-
it'd be really spicy and like it would be a good one. I don't know.
He's like Spanish aristocrat family. Like, I don't know. I can't imagine him like physically eating a burrito.
Oh, I
like...
take it Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh, yeah, that's yeah, for sure. Okay. I can actually... Max Verstappen, I think I could totally see eating a burrito.
Maybe like a burrito of brown rice.
Yeah, I mean, it could be healthy. It's just...
Oh, I mean just brown rice.
Oh,
Like, that's it.
why? I don't get it. What
I
joke
just think
am I
Max
missing
Verstappen is not going to enjoy flavorful food. This is now just, like, I just think he's going to have a tortilla full of brown rice.
here? I think underdog here, though. I think Fernando Alonso, I don't think he's ever had a burrito, but I think he would totally like burritos. Like, I think he would be a burrito, not a bowl orderer.
Yeah, now I'm just imagining him, like, using a samurai sword and, like, slicing a burrito in half. But I've just been looking too much into the interests of F1 drivers. What was I doing?
This will be my last... No, I can't promise that. Okay.
Okay.
Let's
Well,
pick up where you were.
Gunther Steiner in his burrito orders, well, look at that. Brown rice, black beans, barbacoa, fajita veggies, sour cream, and guac. Gunther does not care that guac is extra. I would like to file a complaint with Alfa Romeo because it is so unbelievably clear that no Swifties work at Alfa Romeo. And I'm all for every single person and every single team anywhere in the world leaning into this Swiftie vibe that's taking over the world. But...
Debut, not 1989.
Debut 1989. Joe NVB had incredible cowboy outfits this weekend. Really leaning into the country vibes. Incredible. Yes, this upcoming Friday, October 27th, Taylor is releasing 1989 Taylor's version. So, Alfa Romeo put Cowboy Joe, Cowboy VB on the cover of 1989 Taylor's version, which is so silly because it's actually like her
It's not
first...
country.
It's the first Taylor Swift album not labeled country.
Right. You could, like, yes, I don't think it would have made a ton of sense on Red either. And, like, but...
It doesn't
put
make
on
sense,
Fearless?
period. Like,
no, but like, put them on the Fearless cover, put them on the debut cover. Like, maybe I would then be like, I was infuriated, and I wouldn't even call myself a Swiftie. I was infuriated on your behalf.
yeah, really didn't make any sense. But like, yay, Swiftie F1 crossover. But like,
Boo.
it would be if like if Ferrari took Adam Driver and was like, Kylo Ren joined us in the paddock, and it was like a Marvel Endgame poster. Like,
Yes. You're right. That is exactly what it feels like. And then they shrug and go, "Well, it's Disney," and you're like, "But no, they're so different."
it's not the same thing at all.
No.
All right,
Hire a
wrapping
woman,
up.
please.
Not too many things left. Have to acknowledge Lewis rocking incredible paddock fits. He's wearing things coming out for like the spring 24 collection, so we're already seeing like where his style is headed, like going into the new year. He rocked this new diesel spring 24 runway collection, like whole really sick pattern suit. I also just love when Lewis wears yellow. I think it's like just a beautiful, amazing color on him. And one of my favorite outfits that he wore on Sunday was this bright yellow Versace sweater vest and this like colorful pearl necklace from Polite World. No surprise, Lewis just like knows how to dress himself. Duh, he is just incredible. And my favorite thing, I had to pick like only one of the million incredible things that Coda did this weekend, but they gave every single driver a personalized bolo tie. So last year they gave every single driver their own pair of cowboy boots that like match their vibes. These bolo ties go above and beyond. And when I say personalized, it's not just like initials. Carlos Sainz got a rubber ducky with sunglasses. Nico Hulkenberg had a Hulk smash on his. Alex Albon's featured the entire Albon Zoo. VB's had all the ingredients of his gin, but Lewis had the best one. His featured Roscoe, elements of his tattoos, interior design elements, and his was the only one made of vegan leather because Coda knows what they're doing. Anyway, this was an extendedly long gossip grid, jam-packed with everything that you need to know about F1 and pop culture. And sorry if I missed a couple of things because there was a lot of things that go down in Austin every single year. And can't wait to see what continues to go on for the rest of the F1 season. And next time we'll probably be able to talk about all the details of whatever Lewis is actually announcing this week. So we will catch you next time on Gossip Grid. Thanks for tuning in.
Shout out to you for rolling with the punches I threw your way there.
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Gossip Grid. A very special edition of Gossip Grid is to celebrate the last sprint race of the year. Thank goodness. I'm here to give you a sprint version of Gossip Grid. I'm going to just try to do this fast and speedy. I have a short couple of cool things just because I thought it would be fun, and I'm really excited to be done with sprint races, at least for 2023. So, starting off this past Friday, if you haven't heard me mention this already in the show, Taylor Swift released 1989 Taylor's version, and it has completely flipped my world upside down, which is absolutely no idea. Which is absolutely, like, no brand new information. Blah, blah, blah. Everyone and their mother in the F1 world was a Swiftie on Friday, and it was, like, really suspicious to see, like, who was really being, like, doing a good job and who absolutely wasn't. Last week, I called out Alfa Romeo and Coda for being fake Swifties and posers and for just throwing cowboys of VB and Joe on the cover of 1989, which made absolutely no sense. This week, they were a little bit better. They were prepping for FP1 by listening to 1989 Taylor's version with Wildest Dreams playing in the background. So, fine, you did a little bit better. Alpine wished everyone happy 1989 Taylor's version day team, but you can tell that this was a scheduled post and they're absolutely clueless because they used the stolen version of Style. So I'm immediately mad at Alpine. All of the points they got for the Travis Kelce jersey the week before, immediately subtracted and gone. Shout out to Mercedes for putting their drivers on the album cover and at least updating 1989 to the year that like Lewis and George were born, whatever. Minimal effort, but you didn't mess up and
They changed something. They were slightly creative.
Something, and you didn't use the wrong version of the music, which is the point of the entire thing.
Someone was there who knew enough to understand that Taylor Swift was born in 1989, and that's why the album was called that.
Thank goodness.
Mercedes admins, we see you.
Moving on, we got some updates about the Keanu Reeves unscripted documentary show filmed with Disney+. If you are one of the few people that don't know the entire Ross Braun story, I'm not going to tell you anything about what this show is about, and you need to watch it, because if you exist somehow, boy, I can't wait for you to watch this. So the documentary series is called Braun, the Impossible Formula One Story. All 4 episodes will drop in the UK on Disney+, and in the US, and I guess wherever you have Hulu. Check Hulu or Disney+ on November 15th. That's where you will find this entire series. Incredible, one of the best stories I've ever heard in my entire life of sports. CNBC has announced a release date for an Inside the Track, the Business of Formula One documentary series. Will be airing on November 16th. There's a lot of content that week. I wonder why. Oh, Vegas is that weekend. That is why. So CNBC will be talking about the rapid growth in attendance, viewership, market value, examining different title sponsors like the MoneyGram-Haas deal, and the introduction of F1 Academy this year. So I'm really excited to see this. Alex Albon is promoting skincare. Once again, there's another CeraVe ad posted today, and it is a spooky Halloween bit. It's so silly. It's so fun. Again, my favorite thing about Alex is that I love that he films these ads that just seem like they're that old school YouTube skit. Like you filmed it yourself in your bathroom, which is what it looks like he did. So he's promoting skincare. He's also just funny as heck, and more drivers listen to Alex Albon. And my last bit of Gossip Grid for this Sprint Gossip Grid this week, Las Vegas Grand Prix opening ceremonies lineup has been announced. And I need someone to tell me if any of these artists have anything in common whatsoever. Andre Day, Journey, Keith Urban, Swedish House Mafia, 30 Seconds to Mars, will.i.am, J Balvin, who was at the Mexico GP this past weekend and hung out at the Ferrari garage. But, basically, they're doing kind of what they try to do with the Super Bowl halftime show and having a little bit of something for everyone. So if you like R&B, if you like country, if you like reggaeton, you can tune in to the Las Vegas GP opening ceremonies at 10:30 p.m. Oh my god, that is so unbelievably late. So they're really trying to appeal a bunch of different people. We'll be intrigued if it sticks. I guess check it out on ESPN2. They're streaming it on YouTube, which is cool. I don't know. That seems like a kind of a hot mess. What are your thoughts?
I'm team opening ceremony. I will always be team hoopla. Period. Just hoopla. But I wanted to answer your question when you were like, if anyone can tell me what all of these have in common. The snarky answer is they all said yes to F1. The less snarky answer is I think a lot of them have residencies in Vegas, or at least long-standing relationships in Vegas. There's the J Balvin who doesn't have a Vegas residency, but he just loves F1, so I think. But I think the biggest connection is this might actually be their attempt to be like Vegas.
So I need Journey, Keith Urban, and who's the third one I want to throw in here? Yeah, J Balvin. Let's put all 3 of them on the same stage at the same time, and let's see what happens.
I just want to know who is tasked with doing the transitions between all the different acts, because that's, even if they're not on the stage at the same time, that is going to be a mission. But I agree with you, to me it feels like SNL isn't really great because SNL just wants to appeal to everyone. There's no such thing as appealing to everyone. This screams too many cooks in the kitchen. You just needed to pick a target demographic, and they could not.
Little bit of everything.
But I stand by hoopla, chaos, driver introductions. Give me the chaos. I loved the Miami opening ceremony that they didn't repeat this year, that they only did at year 1. It was so much fun. It's Vegas. Go all out. I want to see, Showgirls, the Blue Man Group. Nothing is more Vegas than the Blue Man Group. The only thing that could feel more Vegas right now is if, the whole thing was done in front of or inside the Sphere with, U2. And give me, a Britney Spears. These are 2 big names that wouldn't say yes to F1. But my point is, go all out.
Well, the Blue Man Group and Cirque du Soleil will also be there,
right.
So you really are getting everything involved.
Vegas,
baby. But that is everything I have for this really sprinted through Gossip Grid.
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Gossip Grid. And oh my gosh, I think it is potentially the most anticipated Gossip Grid of the entire year. there are going to be things that I miss. There are going to be things that I forget, and it has been something I've been nervous about all weekend, but we're just going to thrive on what we have here because it's already a jam-packed list. Okay, so we're first going to talk about all of the Gossip Grid celebrity mania news that went down this weekend. First thing we have to get over is that Motorcore is alive and thriving because almost every celebrity is wearing some type of leather on the grid. So it's their go-to. Motorcore is still hot and going at it. The Netflix Cup happened. We talked about it in last week's episode, but Bert Kreischer and Marshawn Lynch were reacting to F1 driver fits. They were basically roasting all of them, especially Pierre. They really went for it. And then they got to what used to be my favorite Lewis Hamilton fit, his glitter fit from Miami. And Bert just says, you can't deny this guy's a legend. He just knows better than I do. And you know what? Same. Me too. And that's everything that's correct. At the opening ceremonies, Marshmello walked the red carpet, even though it was actually a black carpet, but everyone kept calling it a red carpet. I just needed to say that, with Ferrari and Alpine. And oh my goodness, I can't believe I've gotten this far into gossip without talking about Rihanna was at a race. Rihanna was there. Queen Rihanna. I gasped. My jaw hit the ground. It was great. It was beautiful. I could not believe that she was there. I mean, I can't believe for all of the reasons. It just felt like a long time coming. Finally at a race. She also attended the launch event, which was the night before. Excuse me. For A$AP Rocky's new Puma X and the F1 collection. He also had this insane next level arrival. Definitely look up him arriving covered in like all of this smoke and in the car, and he's leaning out. It's definitely a big extravaganza. Tom Brady, I think, is Logan Sargent's dad. That's kind of what I've learned this weekend. Okay, not actually, but Tom Brady was supposed to be in Vegas, didn't end up going to Vegas, so he FaceTimed Logan before the race, wishing him good luck. And, you know, Florida boy to Florida boy, but honestly, I think they're related. They look a lot alike.
Do both have sketchy Florida connections?
Not impossible. Terry Crews did a hot lap with Liam Lawson, and Liam Lawson put on 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton before the hot lap began, so channeling white chicks in just the most iconic scene in cinema history. People's apparent sexiest man alive, because apparently no one told me that Pedro Pascal is like only in my imagination. Patrick Dempsey gave Charles Leclerc the Pirelli Pole Award. Rob McElhenney and Caitlin Olsen, Alpine investor and Always Sunny's finest, had attended this year's race, which was basically expected since they announced their investment to Alpine over the summer. Valtteri Bottas helped give a haircut with the celebrity hairstylist in the middle of Casino Matthew Collins. David Beckham was filming Aston Martin pit stops, and David Beckham also hosted a party Saturday night with Shaq, and Shaq then had his on-track interview that all led to Lewis Hamilton baby. So another incredible Shaq iconic moment where he's saying all that really needs to be said. Lupita Nyong'o was rocking the Chanel embroidered F1 shirt from the collection that was earlier this year, and so it was really had the perfect paddock fit for an F1 fan. Jameson Idris and Tommy Hilfiger visited the Mercedes garage. Dak Shepard, Nina Dobrev, and Shaun White were guests at Alfa Romeo garage. Gordon Ramsay filmed a TikTok with Susie, who doesn't like store-bought pesto, and he also doesn't like store-bought pesto. Justin Bieber waved the checkered flag. And then there's like a mile-long list of celebrities that were also just there and like breathed the same air as all of the other drivers. And we could be here forever if we talked about Lisa Vanderpump, Usain Bolt, Lindsey Vonn, Axl Rose, Simone, Ashley, James Marsden, Paris Hilton, Heidi Klum, Rod Stewart, Stevie Aoki, Martin Garrix, Tara Dobin, Kylie Minogue, Brad Pitt, Anderson .Paak, and like everybody else that I also didn't mention who also performed at the opening ceremonies. It's just a lot, and we just don't have time. But we will wrap it up with the king of everything who just does it all correct and right. Lewis Hamilton's fits. Valentino from day one. This black cape option, I need this. The custom Bottega red fit for Quali. The custom Burberry glitter set. Are you kidding me? I didn't think he could outdo Miami, and he did it. Lewis, I need this outfit. I need it now. Give me the Burberry sparkle tracksuit. And how did you not continue to wear that out the rest of the night? Oh, because he also had a Valentino Vegas GP outfit that probably custom. It's Vegas. I'll put money on it. It's custom. When he went out clubbing with Diplo. So Lewis Hamilton just went above and beyond everything he ever needed to do, and just the king of everything in the paddock. And wow, I feel tired. I feel like I missed a whole bunch, and that's the Gossip Grid Celebrity Edition.
That was really impressive.
Thank you.
You got so much information packed in there in like a really limited amount of time.
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Oh, we're back again. Some more Gossip Grid, because we had to separate this into two segments because there's just so much stuff going on all the time in the world of F1 and pop culture, particularly for the Las Vegas GP. And tonight we're going to talk about kind of like the newsy area. Who's talking about F1? Where are we seeing F1 drivers doing F1 things? We talk in this episode about the CNBC documentary, so we don't need to talk about that here. The Braun docuseries, if you haven't started it already, we will be diving into it later this week, but it is so fun. It's so great. I love Keanu Reeves, and my dad's really enjoying it too. So Papa Cats is getting into Formula One. So lots of different news outlets were talking about everything that was happening in Vegas, particularly Thursday night. We were getting news articles with ABC News, Sports Illustrated, Yahoo News, AP News, CNBC was writing articles about it. Every single sports outlet you could think of had an article about it. I still am shocked as CNN's coverage of Formula One continues to grow, and they were posting about Vegas literally all weekend. I have to give an unbelievable shout out to GQ Sports for keeping me alive with all of the content. This weekend, they knew what to do, where to go, who to ask, and what to be doing. They
How to
had
find Lewis Hamilton as quickly as possible and give us that context. They were basically on the Lewis Hamilton beat, and I loved it.
Yeah, GQ Sports knows you definitely have like something in your ear that's like, Lewis is arriving, we need to go, we need to film his outfit, what is he wearing, we have to get him. So GQ Sports was really kicking it off last week really strong with Oscar Piastri going over all of these different racing movies, and it really enlightened me that I need more F1 drivers breaking down some sort of scene from Cars that explains why Lightning McQueen did something either illegal, correct, or just like why the strategy was the way that it was. Because Lightning McQueen refusing to change his tires to discuss the reasoning behind F1's pit stops is such an incredibly fun idea. And Oscar Piastri made it very clear that he has seen Cars multiple times and knows how this one ends. So Oscar Piastri gave a really great, lighthearted, fun interview on GQ Sports, definitely showcasing his personality. It's great to see where he's grown from the start of the year until now. Also featured on GQ Sports, A$AP Rocky was all over the place this weekend, and he was asking, what are your 3 essential items that you need to bring to any race weekend? Chapstick, balaclava, which is like the face mask, and then he said what I just thought was like the biggest flex, the new himself, which is the newest addition to the whole culture and sport, and without him, it ain't lit no more. So A$AP Rocky needs to bring himself to every single F1 race, which was just such a great, unbelievable flex. Also, if you're curious of what it looks like to be driving on the F1 circuit in Vegas, GQ Sports filmed an entire POV video so you can be a driver, see exactly what that's like. The Bleacher Report was also another crazy outlet that was all over the place. They were asking Joe what drivers are most likely to do what. So Max is most likely to be late, Nico's most likely to get a speeding ticket, and no surprise, as he said, there's no explanation, him and Lewis would be most likely to be in Paris Fashion Week. Logan Sargent thinks that Ricky Bobby is faster than Lightning McQueen. Lose Yourself is the first song that he puts on when he's in the car, and he also plays Toad when he's playing Mario Kart. All of those things are incredibly predictable for him. George Russell, the last celebrity that he has texted was David Beckham. He's gotten 5 speeding tickets in his life, which is somehow surprising and not surprising at all. And George Russell's most surprising thing about Americans that he just really doesn't understand is he thinks Americans are so positive. And I'm confused of what Americans George Russell is really interacting with. That's his official takeaway. And then my last little bit of F1 driver content that we got from all these different news outlets. Alex Albon was asked to draw his most ridiculous, impossible F1 track, and when asked to draw the hardest track, he led to the creation of Rail the Snail, when it is basically just this giant twisty turn of a track that looks like a snail with really impossible turns, and he said Williams will finish P19 and P20 on this track. Alex Albon, king of content. I think this Gossip Grid has forced me to need to lay down. I definitely forgot things. Sorry if I missed some of your favorites. There was so much in store. I need a nap. Until next time, Gossip Grid will catch you later.